that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the meadows and the mountains and the sand. Walk through the valleys and the rivers and the plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all, on us all.
Well, I'm going to start off with a song about a woman who is a heroine of mine. Her name at birth was Mary Harris, and she was born in Cork City, right there in Shandon, right in the centre of Cork. And she didn't stay too long because her parents emigrated to America. And she, in later life, became a union agitator, I think, more than an organiser. And her name became Mother Jones, and she organised or agitated on behalf of the coal miners, largely of West Virginia and Colorado, and she was a great woman. She didn't live in Cork very long, but she certainly had a tongue which could only have been raised in Cork. It's called The Spirit of Mother Jones. Mother Jones is dead and gone, she could no longer stay. No one knew how old she was, but she was often heard to say how she was born in 1830 in the Swede County Cork. But she crossed the foaming billows till she landed in New York. Mother Jones, the miner's angel, must be treated with respect. She's an old-fashioned lady, and you never would suspect that this gown and this bonnet would fill a rich man full of dread. She's the most dangerous woman in America, they said. Her marching up the street with her umbrella in her hand. I can hear her still at Ludlow, where the miners made a stand. And she says, John T., will you kindly tell to me, how could you let your troopers lay them 13 children down in the horrors of West Virginia and in Colorado too? Mother Jones and her miners they never could subdue, and the men they stood on ground in their tents and tented fine. And the women stood like a wall of steel, and nothing could batter down. Mother Jones, the miner's angel, must be treated with respect. She's an old-fashioned lady, and you never would suspect that this gown and this bonnet would fill a rich man full of dread. She's the most dangerous woman in America, they said. Now for the horrors of child labour, says she. And the march of the mill children took place in 1903 from Philadelphia to New York. And she says, I'm going to show Wall Street the flesh and blood they squeezed to make their dough. When she died in 1930, oh, the sadness was profound. And they laid her to rest in a Union burial ground. And she lies in Mount Olive, where the midnight wind it moans. Stand up for the Union, cries the spirit of Mother Jones. And the rich man and his police and his pulpit and his press got away with murder, then they'd get away with it yet. But we'll forge a mighty union, and we won't be overthrown, and we never will forget the spirit of Mother Jones.
So this is a song that we wrote, that I wrote with my friend Mike Richardson, who's from southern West Virginia, and it's about the coal mining wars in West Virginia in the 1920s, called the Battle of Blair Mountain. 2, 3, 4. Find a vein, drain the black gold, hoping to God that the timbers hold. Like my father before me, it's all I know. We live on to harvest the coal, harvest the coal. Mine owner's mercy, about as shallow as a grave. We're living in shanty towns, we ain't got no say. 14-hour shifts, such a meager wage. And Mother Jones can't help us now anyway. Anyway, we take the roads, we take the trains by force. Oh, deliver us love from the gathering stores. Lay down your Bibles, take up your guns. Blair melted, here we come. Oh, here we come. Red bandanas that tell us what side you're on. Yeah, we're the rednecks of the Union 1921. We'll leave tonight at 13,000 strong and take the fight to Blair Mountain before the dawn, before the dawn. We'll take the roads, we'll take the trains by force. Oh, deliver us love from the gathering stores. Lay down your Bibles, take up your guns. Blair melted, here we come. Oh, here we come. Oh, I fight for my father, still buried in the mine. I fight for my son, so he'll have a better life. We're soldiers of a great war, and it don't seem right to treat a man like a dog just to make a dime, just to make a dime. We'll take the roads, we'll take the trains by force. Oh, deliver us love from the gathering stores. Lay down your Bibles, take up your guns. Blair melted, here we come. Oh, here we come. Here we come. So find a vein, drain the black gold. You better hope to God that those timbers hold.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Would you have freedom from wage slavery and join in the grand industrial band? Would you from misery and hunger be free and come do your share like a man?
There is power in a band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union grand.
Would you have sharings the gold in the sky and live in a shack away in the back? Would you have wings up in heaven to fly and starve here with rags on your back?
There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union land.
If you've had enough of the blood of the lamb, then join in the grand industrial band. If for a change you would have eggs and ham, come do your share like a man.
There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union band.
Well, if you like sluggers to beat off your head, then don't organize or unions despise. If you are nothing before you are dead, shake hands with your boss and the wise.
There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union band.
Oh, come, O ye workers from every land, join in the grand industrial band. Then we our share of this earth shall demand. Come do your part like a man.
There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union band.
Would you take contently what's put in your hand, less than you earn with one leg to stand? Would you believe what they tell you to be, or with brothers go out and see?
There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule every land, one industrial union band. There is power in those band working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union band. One industrial union band.
The only asset with the chat.
One industrial union band.
These are Woody Guthrie's words. He wrote this song in around 1950. Fred Trump was Woody's landlord, and U.S. Elevator put some music to it. It's called Old Man Trump.
I suppose old man Trump knows just how much racial hate he stirred in the blood pot of all those human hearts when he drawed that color line down here at his Beach Haven family project. Beach Haven ain't my home, I just can't pay this rent. My money's down the drain and my soul is badly bent. Beach Haven is Trump Tower, where no black folk to go. I said no, old man Trump, Beach Haven ain't my home. I'm yelling out a welcome to you and your man both, welcoming you to live here at Beach Haven. loving any way you please, and have some kind of decent place to raise your kids up in. Beach Haven ain't my home, I just can't pay this rent. My money's down the drain, and my soul is badly bent. Beach Haven ain't my home, I just can't pay this rent. My money's down the drain, and my soul is badly bent. Beach Haven is Trump Tower, where no black folk could go. I said no, no, man, Trump. Beach Haven ain't my home. Oh no, no, man, Trump. Beach Haven ain't my home. Take it away, Brian. I suppose old man Trump knows just how much racial hate he's stirred in the blood pot of all those human hearts when he drawed that color line down here at his Beach Haven family project. Beach Haven ain't my home, I just can't pay this rent. My money's down the drain, and my soul is badly bent. Beach Haven ain't my home, I just can't pay this rent. My money's down the drain, and my soul is badly bent. Beach Haven is Trump Tower, where no black folk will go. I said no, no, man, Trump. Beach Haven ain't my home. No, no, man, Trump. Beach Haven ain't my home. No, no, man, Trump. Beach Haven ain't my home.
Cool.
Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, daily, plenty more. Your sense of fashion, you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Viva Bojack, 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 Viva Bojack. That's what I'm talking about. First time singing the songs from Viva Bojack. Shout out. I don't know what I'm doing really, but I got passion. That's what it's about. It's all about passion. plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack, 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 Riverboat.
Hello, everyone. How we doing? Hello, folks. How we doing? The song holds up? Absolutely. Hello, Jazz Dog, the jazziest dog I know. Hello, Aska. Hello, Eddie666. Hello, Nine-Tailed Witch. Hello, Polaire. Hello, Liliana Young. Hello, Punky Gal. Also, Liliana Young, I did see your email. I will get to it, I promise. I've just been very, very busy. Hello, Harold. Hello, Salmon Moose. Hello, Fox of Fate. Hello, Catabingo Rising. Hello, Rob Adler. Hello, Daniel Alexander Kier Jensen. Hello, Yannick de Newborg. Hello, Underground Uncle. Hello, John Bainbridge. Hello, The Knifiest Duck. Hello, PC Schwarz. Hello, K-Thing. Hello, Panicked Pike. Hello, Rhyme Jack. Hello, Zaron Joy. Hello, Liz Galahad. Hello, Killed by Magic Carp. Hello, Twitchy Tism. Hello, Abyssal Nath. Hello, Depraved Ambiance. Hello, Crane. Hello, Majora's Casket. Hello, Trainmon. Hello, Cliff. Hello, how we doing, Paladin Lost? Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hello, Webmage 101. Hello, Kiva Indafur. Hello, Cute Dark Arts. Hello, Jack the Bomb. Hello, Alice Plague. Hello, Tea Leaf. Actually doing well today. Hell yeah. You got your antidepressant prescription. Excellent. I went through like a 2-year period where I had to use those. And you know what? They were very useful. Hello, Farm Emo. I almost said Farm Emu. I'm going to try that again. Hello, Farm Emo. There we go. Nailed it that time. Hello, Gila Monster. Howdy, folks. We've got a show. Oh god. A fart emo. No. Been lurking your streams, but today I decided to actually start chatting. Hell yeah, Alice Plague. Love that. Love to see the proactivity. Hello, Dad Durker. Hello, Creamy Does It. I don't know how I feel saying that username. Hello, Mr. Malachite. All right, folks, you guys ready to just like dive into some content? I know I said silly me that we would play video games and have a relatively chill day, but you know, we got too much to talk about, so that's going on the back burner. But I do want to remind all of you, if you would like to do something really, really cool, really, really meaningful in terms of getting a really awesome progressive Democrat elected, there are currently open spots to virtually phone bank for Omar Fateh here in Minneapolis. It's super, super vital that we get enough people signed up so that the event can go forward. And, you know, it's really important. So, folks, we are trying to get people out to phone bank, which you can do from anywhere in the country, for Omar Fateh and Michael Wilson for Parks and Recreation. But Omar Fateh, he's basically like a Midwest Mamdani, and honestly, he needs all the support he can get because he's going up against a real piece of shit in Jacob Fry, and I don't care for that man. I don't care for Jacob Fry. He sucks. And it would be really helpful if you guys could pitch in and help get a really great progressive, actual socialist elected in Minneapolis. If for no other reason than it would make Donald Trump angry, okay? Like, dude actually is walking the walk and talking the talk at the same time. He's been getting like free college education for folks in Minnesota, the wider state. As a state legislator, he's like one of the most beloved. Like in his district, he got 90% of the vote in the general election that he had last. So we just need some extra folks to help call and let people know when the election is and why they should care and get involved. All right. And also, it would make Donald Trump mad. So I'm going to link this in chat. And if you guys are curious to learn more about Omar Fateh, I did do a video about him and this race in general. It's on my YouTube channel. I don't have the link for it handy, but I promise you, if you guys search Omar Fateh on my YouTube channel, you will find it. And also, he's just a good dude. Also, I investigated Omar Fateh, and I do have a mutual acquaintance. Have mutual acquaintances. Ooh, that's awesome. Now, I'm sorry to hear that you're dealing with cancer, Daniel. Hope you are on the mend soon. Let's see here. You guys ready? I want to recount something that occurred. Maybe depraved ambiance. Also, it's just one of the more normalized bigotries in our society is, ableism. Sadly, even in leftist spaces. All right. Also, folks, if you're wondering when phone banking is taking place for Omar Fateh, it is October 13th, October 20th, October 27th, and November 2nd. So if any of those days work for you, please consider dedicating a few hours of your time to doing some phone banking for a good cause. That being said, before we get too deep into the stream, remember to like, comment, subscribe, do the things, like, follow, subscribe, do the things. Also, please consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc., because we are still doing the roulette of PP, the roulette of pain and pleasure, and we'll spin it once we hit 100. You never know what you're gonna get. Okay. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? Every $5 dono or membership or sub, paid subs that is, goes towards this counter for those who are new to the channel. With that being said, let's jump right into it, shall we? Because we got shit to talk about. All right. Here we go. Boo. So, folks, you know how I've been talking about how AI is bad, and it's cooking brains, and it's making people dumb, and it's basically just a smush of all kinds of references rendered into meaningless garbage. Regurgitated into some kind of form that mocks the very mind of man. Well, nothing has really demonstrated this quite so well as a new trend that is apparently gaining steam over on Twitter.com, which has been dubbed the Kirkinator. And if you're like, what is the Kirkinator? Surely that can't just be Charlie Kirk mashed up with the Terminator. And no, that's exactly what it is. A bunch of people on Twitter have been generating AI videos to make a Terminator Charlie Kirk, with the premise being, in most of them, that Charlie Kirk was rebuilt a la RoboCop by the state of Israel to fight for the evangelicals. And there are a lot of these videos out there, like a lot of them, you know, and Sam and Moose sent me perhaps the craziest one, or at least one of them, and we're just gonna take a look here, because yeah, that is a UFO. Yeah, that is Charlie Kirk and the Terminator fused together like a RoboCop. And yeah, if you're wondering, is that Alex Jones with a Hitler mustache? Yes, it is. And if you're wondering, are they flying over Antarctica? Yes, they are. And here's I'm gonna press play now that all those very important questions are answered.
So we can be free, nobody else, so we can be free. All the things you said, all the things you said, running through my head, running through my head, running through my head.
Yes, this is a gigantic underground cavern full of foliage underneath Antarctica. They are indeed now flying over some kind of lost civilization.
What is this place? Home.
Yeah, apparently they flew into the under the ice world and met, which I guess is now the afterlife, and they met Hulk Hogan.
And fake Russian lesbian Nightcore remix?
Yeah, I guess Lily loves stuff. Thank you for the $5 dono and for the first person to sports stream today. I have no idea who this is supposed to be. I gotta be honest. Or this guy.
I'll see.
But this is very clearly Kash Patel. Like this is like, that's Yakub? Is it really? Was it really Yakub? No. Oh God. Okay, yeah, okay, we got Yakub, the figure from the Black Hebrew Israelite belief that created white people in his mad science.
I'll see you in Valhalla.
And yes, that is J.D. Vance as the Pope, I guess. So, if you're wondering, what the hell? Why is this a trend? Other than conservatives are completely and utterly rotted from the brainstem down. And, you know, it's interesting because if you start scrolling
Jacobian
through...
devils need to honor their creator, after all.
I love stuff. Thank you for the $5 dono. If you start scrolling through what is related to Kirkinator on Twitter, you'll come across that a lot of the people who are posting this AI garbage are posting it with $sign Kirkinator. Because of course, it's just a scam. It's just a scam for a goddamn crypto company. Or not crypto company, but a crypto coin. That's it. That is it. It is just designed to hype up a fucking scam. It is... They turned... Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear a single conservative complain about the rhetoric being used in leftist circles about Charlie Kirk when the second it became, like, they became able to turn it into a meme coin, like money grab, they took that opportunity and just went hog wild with it. Just absolutely hog wild. Like, yeah, this is all like the AI videos are just insane gibberish, but it's insane gibberish designed to take advantage of the stupidest conservatives. Like, you have slightly smarter conservatives ripping off dumber conservatives in like a genuine like pyramid shaped grift that just encompasses the entire conservative end of the political spectrum. It's wild. And so I just, the chances are these days, if you see people posting AI content, they are grifting you, or they're some kind of op, or they just don't give a shit about what they're doing enough to actually put in work. And they will not hesitate to take advantage of the assassination of a man if they can try and make it turn into a money-making scheme. Like, I don't know, it's pretty wild that yesterday Donald Trump hosted an Antifa roundtable to talk about how, like, the far left are all terrorists that need to be destroyed by the boot of the state. But, as they chase after, like, made-up abuses of, like, Charlie Kirk's legacy. But when we're talking about like Charlie Kirk's actual legacy, conservatives are furiously mining it for every last. Sorry, what is Kirkinator going for at the moment? Just out of curiosity. Just so curious. What is the Kirkinator coin? Yes, price chart for Kirkinator. Yes, it is currently 0.00132087 cents. So, they're mining it for like 1/100th of a cent. Or 1/10th of a cent, my bad. These people are insufferable jackasses. Anytime they posture about language or speech, it is hollow as hell. And just they don't give a shit. Like, I'm sorry, like, if you go right to the Kirkinator coin page on Twitter, because there is, of course, one. The official Twitter for Kirkinator. And you scroll down, you just get...
Yes, this will be a great spot for a ski resort.
Are you retarded? We agreed to build a water park. How the fuck are you going to build a ski resort in the middle of the desert?
Well, they built one in Dubai.
Yeah, all right. So this is this is what's happening these days. Greta, oh yeah, it's a video about Greta Thunberg and Kim Jong-un. Hilarious. Anyway, if you scroll down, they're just like meme posting about like Alex Jones. This is all an attempt to just, again, like hijack essentially conservative meme culture in order to mine the value of Charlie Kirk's, assassination. It's crazy. It's all slop, but it's like predatory slop, Anyway, I don't really know what else to say other than every single day, conservatives are just being revealed to be even more full of shit than anyone would have ever conceived possible. Like, truly, it's kind of like the TARDIS of shit. It's bigger on the inside. With that, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things. There we go, we did it. Fuck. every single day I become more of a Luddite. Good. It means you're paying attention to this shit we're seeing. All right. You guys ready? You guys ready for another meme segment that's a little bit better? That won't hurt your brains as much. Also, if you're enjoying the show, consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. We've gotten a few today, and we're getting closer to our goal. So with that being said, y'all ready? Y'all ready for our next segment? What's a Luddite? Someone who rejects technology. All right, here we go. So, folks, we need to talk about the frog situation in Portland, Oregon. Now, many of you may have seen my previous segment where I mentioned a lone heroic frog demonstrating outside of the Portland Ice facility. And, I played this clip taken just a couple days ago of our hero, the titular wizard frog, just taking pepper bullets like a goddamn superhero. Now, of course, everyone has mad respect for this frog because he's been turning out to Portland to protest ICE for the last several days, at least, possibly more. But people have become so enamored with this frog that a vibrant meme has sprung forth. You've got you've got just all kinds of internet memes circulating around this. What are you trying to tell me, that I can dodge pepper balls? No, frog. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to. Like, they're trying to spray this frog with pepper spray. Apparently ICE is tried to figure out ways to go around, because when you're wearing one of these suits, there's an intake fan on the back. So if someone sprays you in the front of your mask, it doesn't do anything. So the ICE agents are trying to figure out how to go around and get the pepper spray into the suit. Right? It is genuinely stymieing them a little bit. But we also have just some wonderful works of art that have come out, right? And I just want to say that this piece of art, and many of you may have seen this already, was created by the artist Nicholas Smith, and it's just titled Portland Frog. And this goes hard. This goes hard. I'm sorry, this is concept art for a great video game right here. Number one. And number two, I was curious because I really like this piece of artwork a lot. So I looked up Nicholas Smith, and turns out very talented illustrator, also very well known for portrait work and children's books, and specifically wrote a book called My Hair is Poofy and That's Okay, and I just find this very delightful. I find this all just incredibly delightful, and frankly, you guys should go to his website. I'm gonna actually link it in chat, just because I love all of this so much. Yeah, isn't it cute as fuck? It just is, And it's cool shit. He also makes protest art that you can just buy and use as signs for protests. He's got, of course, Portland Frog. He's got a No Kings protest art. He's got My Humanity Is Not Your Political Opinion. And he also has this adorable Mr. Rogers protest sign. I love it. I love all of this a lot. And I think folks should support Nicholas even more. right? And fun fact about Nicholas, also, his work has been noticed and, given awards by the NAACP. And, he's just a good dude doing a lot of good work in the world, right? And I also just want to say that this type of art commemorating and the jokes around our lovely wizard frog or frog wizard, whichever the case might be, have attained such a status that it's starting to catch on. And I wanted to direct your attention here because the Oregonian did an on-the-street interview here, and I love this because they went out, I think it was earlier today, and interviewed some protesters outside of this ICE facility in Portland. Let's take a look.
Hi, we're outside the ICE facility in the evening on whatever the day is, October. Can you guys let me know what you're here, why you're dressed as frogs?
Well, the frog has become a symbol of what's going on down here. And so we decided to come support our friend Toad, who's been out here. You probably saw him on the news. And
that's right. That is the original. The original frog wizard has been joined by 3 acolytes. We got the beginnings of like an actual honest to god ninja. I guess not a Ninja Turtles situation, but wizard frog. I don't know. Conclave? What is a gathering of wizards called? I don't know.
He's a friend from another con, and so we decided to come down here and show our support.
Oh, Battle Toads. Yeah, we got a Battle Toads situation.
To show our support for the insane government overreach that's going on in this place, and the fact that they're calling Portland an explosive, fire-ridden sort of, warland, which is not, because we're here.
Okay. And what's specific about the frog? Is it because of the one guy who'd been in that costume before? Or was there any other symbolism to it?
That's the reason, He's an iconic symbol. He's all over the internet now, so it only made sense that more frogs joined in this fight.
Okay.
After our interview, the frogs were joined by a couple of unicorns, a bear, an axolotl, a raccoon, and several more characters. Federal officers appeared to clear the road for an exiting vehicle and quickly retreated without interacting with the many characters outside. Oh, God. Yeah, no, they had a left shark. Honestly, this does so much to damage the credibility of the regime. It does so much to I don't know, completely make ICE look ridiculous. They know, if you're joining ICE, you're gonna be a violence-dealing bad guy, right? But it suddenly makes you look much smaller and more pathetic when the people who are showing up to oppose you are wearing silly costumes and dancing, and they're casting magic force fields at you. Yeah, it ruins their propaganda, and it makes their job more difficult because they want nothing more than to just rain pepper balls on you from above, like they did with that pastor that they shot in the head, right? They want to do that to every single protester, and wearing these suits is a novel form of protection against some of these things. And also it makes them look silly, and makes them look silly on the national scale in the national media, but it also makes and mocks and belittles the individual ICE officers who day after day have to go out there dressed like they're about to go into fucking Fallujah. And then they open their metal gates, and they're fully kitted up with their battle armor and their guns, and they go out to meet not like some kind of Molotov throwing revolutionary, but instead like a bunch of like angry people wearing inflatable silly costumes who are dancing. Like it just makes them look stupid as hell. And anything that really undercuts this regime and on all of those levels is unambiguously a good thing. War never changes. Goes outside to face down a gyrating sparkle unicorn. That's unironically how it goes, though, right? The dumb ice army versus the based frog army. Indeed, Cliff. Indeed. Nothing makes a military crackdown look worse than a party on the other side of the line. Yeah, especially like such a silly looking party, you know? Yeah, like there's a reason why like they aren't just going out and like beating these people in frog costumes. It's because they know it would make them look horrible. Like it's pretty hard to make the argument that these protesters incited violence when they're just dancing in frog costumes. Portland is just a really modded out version of Fallout 3. You know, I can't really argue with that. It seems accurate. Anyway, frogs together strong, shimp together strong, and folks, if you're gonna go to a protest, consider getting a silly frog costume and pick your favorite color to make a little cape. Because you know what, it's a thing now. I guess it's turning into a thing. The frog protests shall prevail. And with that, if you're enjoying this segment, like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things that help the channel. And we'll see you on the next one. There we go. We did it. We did it. 2 segments right off the bat. Oof. Also, next protest, October 18th. Be there, be square. Let's go! I'm gonna use the protest art for No Kings. Hell yeah, comrade girl. I'm checking Spirit Halloween for No Kings. Unironically, and forgive the pun, that's the spirit.
Waldorf Goggins. That was a segment of quality. J.K. Stadler. Yeah, its best quality was how short it was. Oh ho 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 ho.
I forgot about Waldorf Goggins and J.K. Stadler. I forgot about the Riverboat Jack extended universe versions of Stadler and Waldorf. I like it a lot. Paladin, thank you for the Waldorf Goggins, thank you for the $15 dono. Very much appreciated. And of course you can get a link. 1 second. Here you go. I'll link it again in all the chats. Just Nicolas Art. Did I hear about Assassin's Creed? I did. Fucking cowards.
I saw a goated comment today. I used to struggle with homosexuality, but I worked on it and I'm now great at it.
Ah, hell yeah. You know, practice makes perfect. If you're ever struggling, you know, with with your sexuality, you know, just practice. Practice makes perfect. We need a Riverboat Jack extended universe wiki page. If you look, if you guys start the Wikipedia, I'll endorse it. Okay. What's this about Assassin's Creed? Oh, they were going to do an Assassin's Creed set in America with an assassin killing members of the Ku Klux Klan, and that got canceled because of political concerns. Because again, they're cowards. It's simple as, yeah. Yeah, set during Reconstruction. Which, like, you know, what a slam dunk of a concept in our current times, you know? Ubisoft canceled the Reconstruction era, like, Assassin's Creed game that would have had you hunting down the KKK.
People tell me I have anger issues, but that is simply untrue. I have no problems getting angry, and I have no problems staying angry. I got this anger thing down to a science.
Hell yeah, Knifey is the... Wait a minute, I shouldn't support that. I'm not gonna write any pages on it because I want to see what everyone else does and says about all the weird characters I've spawned. Indeed, Paladin, I'm eager to see the lore building of the Riverboat Jack extended universe. Unironically, I struggled a ton with perfectionism that I overcame, and it recently I overcame it and recently made a friend with a fan of mine who's struggling with the same issues. I spoke to them and they say my advice helped a ton. Hell yeah, Jazz Dog. Let's see. Boo. Spirit Halloween still has inflatable frog costumes in stock. Get to work, comrades. Ah, yeah. Mr. Malachite. Hell yeah. Damn, 73 subs already. Well, the subs from yesterday carried over, Catabingo. We started at 62. Olsen Xe, thank you for the 5 gifted subs over on Twitch. Look at you guys go. Twitch holding their own lately. Well done, you guys, gals, and non-binary pals. All right. Do you guys want some good news? Do you guys want some good news? Huh? Do ya? I want this game now. Fuck you, Ubisoft. Well, luckily Mafia 3 exists, and you can play as a man hunting down the Ku Klux Klan. It's also a good game. Let's see. Good news is good? Hell yeah. Let's see. Before we start, hey, did you guys know you could like the stream? Did you guys know you can like the stream by doing one very simple thing? It's called clicking the button. Go. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the K-Thing! The frog costume stays on in the bedroom. Indeed. Thank you for the 2 pounds. Hell yeah. Digital Coffee says, by the way, folks, you need to get a helmet if you do the suits. Not only are you awkward in a conflict zone, but the ultimate answer to poofy suits will be bringing back water hoses. Excellent advice. Whew. Hot single MILFs and frog costumes near you? More likely than you might think. All right. You guys ready for some good news? Like, unironically good news? Here we go. Been going for an hour already. Damn, let's go. I need advice on how to protest. In our Discord, there should be a pinned post in the protest Discord. Under political organizing, there should be a pinned post from one of our mods, B, who has been a street medic at a lot of different protests. And yeah, there's a protest safety thread you can take a look at. Yep, should be pinned in there. If you looked at the pinned posts in protesting, there is a protest safety thread, and you can check that out. That helps, thank you. No problem. If anyone else needs help, you can join the Discord, !Discord, join up. Got a lot of different attempts to help folks in various situations. And, yeah.
I want to congratulate Chad on getting through 2 whole segments without a derail. On an unrelated note, who here loves cottage cheese?
I love cottage cheese. I found a 2-pound thing of cottage cheese in the fridge, and I'm gonna make so much taco meat with that. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so tasty, and not a single one of you can stop me from spicing that cottage cheese appropriately and melting it around some turkey meat. You guys can't do it. You can't do it. It's tasty as hell. And you know what's great? If you make that taco meat and you need a really simple meal, while you're doing the taco meat, you just bake a potato and then boom! You got the taco meat in the potato and it's a meal. You just made yourself a meal. Damn. And if you're like, "Oh, I don't like cottage cheese because of the texture," melt it. If you melt it, it's just melted cheese. Cottage cheese, hell yes. Look, I see some of you know your macros. All right? Wait, why did Riverboat bot... Can someone... Wait, can someone in Riverboat... Mods in Riverboat chat, could you unmute? Wait, I can unmute. I can do this. Justice for Donkey Man. I'm sorry, Donkey Man. Nightbot has returned from the grave and is now abusing its power. Apologies. I just got exited. Yeah, Riverboat Bot is overzealous. Okay. I ate so much cottage cheese recently that I literally got sick of it. This is not the first time this has happened. Yeah, that can happen. I understand. I don't know, Jack. Cottage cheese in a taco seems kind of sus. You know, the thing is, I know you're deliberately trying to derail me into talking about how tasty that taco meat is, but unironically, I went to the grocery store today and bought a 2nd pound of taco meat so that I could make 2 pounds of taco meat deliciously. Okay? So, like, you guys underestimate how much I like this taco meat. I'm scared bots can ban people. Like, yeah, the bot that we have in our Riverboat site and in Twitch can, like, mute people, time them out, etc. You should be fine, Lemony fucking Snicket. Alright. Alright. I believe on faith that Jack makes the best white people tacos. I do! I do! Also, it reheats better than other kinds of cheeses. If you want a good cheesy taco meat, cottage cheese is the way to go. All right, anyway, time to give you guys the good news. Boo. So, folks, there is a state called Alaska. Now, Alaska has historically been a conservative stronghold, and that appears to be on the verge of changing. Now, why I say this is because in Alaska, obviously there's Anchorage, and Anchorage is the largest city, I believe, in Alaska. But there is a second largest city in Alaska, and that city's name is Fairbanks. And Fairbanks, Alaska has just elected a new mayor. And for the first time in a decade, that mayor is not a conservative. And we need to talk about this race a little bit. We need to talk about this race because as a conservative stronghold, Alaska hasn't elected, a Democrat to the Senate or the House in we're talking 30, 40 years, right? And well, actually 40 or 50 years in some cases. I think the last time they had a Democrat in the House. Yeah, the last time they elected a Democratic House member was 1973, and there's only ever been one Democrat from Alaska in the U.S. House of Representatives, okay? The last time they elected a Democrat to the Senate was 1981. So, it is not at all a place where Democrats have traditionally flourished. That's kind of the point I'm getting at here. And, well, Mindy O'Neill has won the mayorship of Fairbanks. Now let's take a look here at what she had to say.
As election results continue to come in, Fairbanks has a new mayor. Unofficial election results show Mindy O'Neill leading over 1,800 votes. David Hughes follows more than 1,500 and conceded Tuesday night. Your Alaska Link sat down with Mindy O'Neill, the new mayor of Fairbanks. She says the moment still hasn't sunk in.
I was back and forth between a state of shock, disbelief, and then heck yeah, of course I am. So let's do this.
She thanked her supporters and campaign team for helping make it happen.
I was surrounded by some of my best friends, my family, the community. I had an incredible team surrounded me and the campaign volunteers and staff.
One of her first priorities as mayor is addressing the city's homelessness crisis.
Our neighbors that I am willing and ready to work together with other organizations, better facilitation and how we reach out.
O'Neill wants to breathe new life into downtown Fairbanks.
And I'm very excited to bring some new energy into our downtown area, which is really the heartthrob of our city.
The mayor of Fairbanks will officially take office later this month. LaShawn Donaldson, Your Alaska Link.
I just think that's really cool. Oh, yeah, Mary Peltola. I was forgetting Dragonfly. Thank you very much. Yeah, Mary Peltola was also in the House in 2022. Did that break the streak first? Am I just completely... Am I completely blanking? Anyway, that's an aside. So, what did Mindy O'Neill run on? Well, Mindy O'Neill has, of course, a website, Mindy O'Neill for Fairbanks City Mayor. And let's check it out. My priorities as mayor: make streets safer, coordinate police, fire, and community services with a focus on hiring, retention, and trust, bring more people, light, and activity downtown to deter crime, expand mental health crisis response to reduce volatile incidents and repeat issues, faster response times with better staffing, training, and equipment for first responders, address homelessness through housing first strategies, improve housing and infrastructure, partner with builders to build more affordable, energy-efficient homes, remove zoning roadblocks that discourage building in Fairbanks, maintain and repair streets and sidewalks, including winter maintenance, prepare our aging infrastructure for a changing climate, improve pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and ADA accessibility in the downtown core, revitalize home downtown, get stalled improvement projects moving to bring jobs without raising taxes, remove roadblocks downtown that are hurting revenue for local businesses, prove to visitors that downtown Fairbanks is vibrant, cultural, and open for business, start projects that link downtown with the rest of Fairbanks, and prioritize locals and visitors, more year-round events in public spaces, simpler permitting, and improved maintenance. And, you know, like, this is just good policy. You've got housing first initiatives in, like, central Alaska. That's great. That's wonderful. More bicycle infrastructure, yes. More lighting fixtures, which sounds such a weird thing, but like genuinely, when you have more street lights, people are less likely to do crime because it's literally lit up. Like, these types of infrastructure changes matter a whole lot. And when you're talking about reducing crime by having housing first, more light, and, like, you know, focusing on mental health response that doesn't escalate to the point of violence, like, this is good. This is just good policy. And it just goes to show that, like, when you actually go and run and go to bat for common sense, like, social reforms, material reforms in kind of through a socialist lens, like, it actually works. Like, it actually works. That's the thing. And I just... Yeah. Only one Democratic House member since 1973. Oh, yeah, that was Mary. Mary Peltola in 2022. Thank you, Dragonfly. Put those ideas together in my head there. But I want you all to understand that the margins of this race in the city of Fairbanks came down to about 10%. Like, Mindy won over the city by 10%. And we're talking about a place that goes for conservatives heavily. Donald Trump won Alaska by double digits every single year he ran. Okay? And, like, it's pretty telling. It's pretty interesting that someone running on these types of platforms is winning in conservative-dominated parts of the country. And as we are starting to look forward now towards the midterms, when you stack this up on other victories by Democrats or left-leaning public servants, you start to see a pattern where places that have gone to Trump or are trying to be bought, or Trump's lackeys are trying to buy elections, like how Elon Musk tried to buy the Wisconsin race. We're seeing people reject what's happening by an incredible margin. We're seeing, like, the fact that Mindy won this race is insane. Let me just take a look here at some of the past history here. Yeah, David Pruse. I want to see electoral election results. I want to see, how did he do last time he ran? Yeah, here we go. This is what I wanted to see. Ballotpedia. Oh, no, he's not in the Ballotpedia. In 2012, he failed to achieve a House seat in Alaska. Can we get to communism from social democracy without revolution? Yeah. But it's likely on a larger time scale than any of us will ever see. Let's see. Do we have his past results? That's all I want. All of these results are for 2012 because no one paid attention. How about Fairbanks mayoral elections? Okay. Election history. Perfect. Yeah, we want to see the results from like the last 2020. All right. Borough seats. We got a mayor. Nope. There we go. God damn it. How awful were previous Democratic candidates if they've been failing this whole time? Well, the issue is it's a pretty dominant field for conservatives. It's just that a lot of the rural culture of Alaska gravitates towards, you know, conservative candidates. It's been really hard to kind of crack that identity, I guess. Crack that that code for a lot of Democrats, but it's just not. Voter turnout percent. That is not at all what I wanted. Come on, Fairbanks, get your shit together. Okay. David Pruse was elected October 24th, 2022. I want to see how he fared. I want to know what the difference was last time. Like how much did Pruse win when he was first elected? Here, let's take a look at local news. Okay. Doesn't mention this in the article. Okay. Cool. Let's take a look. Like, none of the websites or the news articles are answering my very simple question. It's very frustrating. Hmm. Yeah. Do custom range. I know this is riveting stream work, but I do want a very basic question answered. So, editor, please edit this out from the final part, because this I know this isn't fun to watch. All right. Okay. Here we go. Red wave. Fairbanks goes conservative with David Pruse winning city mayor by decisive margin. This is from October 4th of 2022. So, back in 2022, just 3 years ago, he won 56% of the vote. He has now fallen by about 10%, and now that seat has flipped. And we're seeing similar margins throughout the entirety of the country. We're seeing places that have, previously been considered safe Republican seats suddenly being up for grabs. And you're going to start seeing a lot of Republicans getting hot under the collar. You're going to start to see a lot of conservatives freaking out. And that's why in this particular moment, you're looking at like the Senate, you're looking at members of the House, and you're starting to see some of these people panic. In Congress, but also not just in Congress, all the way down. From like, your national level politicians all the way down to your local officials. All right? You do not, as a political party, want to be going around and fielding calls from your, elected officials on, the local level, on the state level, on the national level, about how worried they are and how they need campaign funds, etc., etc., etc. And, to really hammer this home here, this is an example of what I mean, right? This right here gets to the heart of why these seats are suddenly flipping, and it's because people are angry. And that includes Republican voters being angry. Okay? Here is a caller who called into C-SPAN because for some godforsaken reason, Mike Johnson, the man who's refusing to call the House back into session because he doesn't want the Epstein files released, decided to take calls on C-SPAN. Here is a nearly 3-minute long call he received, and let's see how that goes for him.
Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about.
I'm not like a facial expression expert or anything, but the face he's making right now is not generally one that a person makes when they're having what's known as a good time.
My family, I have 2 medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves his country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. If we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get to get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military's getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes six figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right. Now, I'm going to pause that here because, you know, it goes even beyond that, right? Like, Mike Johnson isn't just doing this to military families. Mike Johnson is doing this to every working class person who doesn't make enough to rise above the poverty line. You know, like, we're talking like $1 trillion cut to Medicaid. We're talking like, you know, a doubling or tripling in some cases of premiums for people who are above the poverty line. And like, hardly anyone can afford that. You know, like, when that woman says, you know, oh, my children could die, she means it. Because we already know what the cost of denying people healthcare is. And it is tens of thousands of people in the United States dying preventable deaths. Now, of course, he's about to open his mouth and spew forth an unrelenting tide of bullshit to attempt to evade responsibility. But the fact is that Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is the one who is capable of calling the House back into session, and he is not calling the House back into session because he does not want to release or have a vote on the Epstein files. That is the only reason he is not calling the House back into session. So keep in mind that when he's fielding calls from a mother in middle America who's worried about her kids dying because her family's not getting paid what they're due by the U.S. government for the work being done for the military, he's doing that to her to protect pedophiles. He is willing to kill her children to protect actual pedophiles. And this is why you're going to see some wild swings. This is why, again, you have in Fairbanks, Alaska, you know, a conservative stronghold for the last decade. You have someone that won by 10 points, losing by 10 points in his election. That is a 20-point flip of that seat. And you're gonna start seeing more of that as we get closer to the midterms. And there needs to be an understanding that there is going to be a reckoning for the kind of terror that these people have inflicted upon all working Americans. Because they are not just trying to kill Democrats, they're trying to kill Republicans too. Because they don't care if a worker is Democrat or Republican. They just see someone who has individually less power and less money than their biggest donors. They're sickos. They really are.
Samantha, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. The reason I've been so angry this week, and they've been calling me out on media, Johnson's angry. I am angry because of situations just like yours. I have a big military district, and my district is the home of the Global Strike Command at Barksdale Air Force Base and Fort Polk, the Joint Readiness Training Center. I have one of the biggest military districts and military families in America. I have a lot of airmen and soldiers who are deployed right now, and they have young families at home, and they have children in health situations like yours. This is what keeps me up at night. I want you to hear something very clearly. The Republicans are the ones delivering for you. We had a vote to pay.
Republicans are the ones trying to cut $1 trillion from healthcare plans. Like, I'm sorry, they aren't working on delivering shit for working class Americans or the families of military members. They aren't working on doing that at all. You know, John Thune, Speaker of the head of the Republicans in the Senate, went on television earlier today to talk about how, oh yeah, Republicans are going to give you like higher quality healthcare that's cheaper, except that there is no plan. Oh, the Obamacare plan was the Republican plan. Obama put that plan forward specifically to try and get Republicans on board with it. And they still attack it with everything they've got. And they now have had like a decade to come up with something better, and they've got exactly nothing. They have not come up with even a pretend program to replace, the Affordable Care Act. They've got nothing. What they have is, well, what if we just cut $1 trillion from our healthcare system? Maybe that would improve things somehow. That's their plan. That's the plan.
The troops. It was the continuing resolution 3 weeks ago. Every single Republican but 2 voted to keep the government open so that your paycheck can flow. Every Democrat in the House, except for 1, voted to close it. The Democrats are the ones that are preventing you from getting a check. If we did a vote on the floor, pay troops, it's not a lawmaking exercise because Chuck Schumer is going to hold that up in the Senate. He is demonstrating by voting now 6 times to keep the government closed that he does not want the troops to be paid. And you should listen to his comments last night as reported this morning. He is enjoying this. He said every day gets better for us, quote unquote. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are preventing your family from getting the care that they need, not Republicans, and my heart goes out to you.
Hi, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, basically, good luck. You're on your own. Good luck. You're on your own. Here's a bunch of bullshit. But it's stuff like this that indicates why Republicans are in extraordinary amounts of trouble
I'm
in
confused.
this next election.
As a former Air Force enlisted member, medical is covered 100% for all family members. Not sure what everyone is talking about.
Well, because some families aren't being paid during the government shutdown. That's why. Yeah. Active duty U.S. military members are required to continue working but will not receive paychecks until new funding is approved. That's the problem. That's the problem. These families work, but they don't get a paycheck. And the longer this goes on, if you're a family that lives paycheck to paycheck, you're screwed. You're screwed. If you have kids that rely on that paycheck to get to eat, or if that family relies on a paycheck to stay in their home, and they don't get that paycheck on time, they're boned. And like some of these medical costs might be covered, but not 100%. Not 100% for some of the things that are required to keep a child alive. Not when like some families are deep in medical debt, or need to stay in their home, or need to feed their kids. TRICARE is her child's health care. It will cost her like $15 if active duty. Maybe. I don't know. I can't tell you what her personal finances are. She knows them better than any of us do. But for some people, $15 when you don't have any money is still too much money. So, we have this all playing out. The basic premise here is that, hey, long story short, like, people are not happy with this administration, and they're not going to get happier with it. It's going to get worse, not better. That's the bottom line here. It's the medicine she can't buy. She was talking about medicine, not a doctor's visit. That might be an important distinction. Look, I think it's all well and good to speculate about this woman's individual circumstances, but to be kind of like, well, she's lying in a call to C-SPAN, I don't think she's lying. I think she knows her financial circumstances better than any of us here. And I take her at her word that, like, she has kids that rely on medicine or care that is too expensive for her to afford if she doesn't get a paycheck, because that is the circumstances many people in America find themselves in. It's why you get into situations with people, rationing their insulin or rationing their HRT. Like, people are getting desperate. So, all I'm saying is, there is a turning in the wind. People are getting fed up with this administration, and by people, I don't mean just, liberals in big blue cities. I'm talking like the salt of the earth. I'm talking about, just average Joes in every corner of this republic are getting fed up with what is happening. And it is causing an unprecedented political shift. And that's good for our future political prospects. It is good for the prospects of up-and-coming protests. It is good all around. This is incredibly good news. Because, as I've been saying this entire time, the suffering is going to increase under this administration to levels few of us have seen in this country in a long time. And as that increases, people are going to get more and more fed up with this doddering old fool who has completely lost his mind. The more and more they are going to get fed up with the social media influencers, inept and decrepit in their own ways, who have been placed in charge of, each and every branch of the federal government. And, like, this is unsustainable for this administration. So, folks, remember, turn up to your No Kings protest on October 18th, because we want to keep making these protests bigger and bigger and bigger, because October 18th is not going to be the last one. It is just the second one. And we are going to keep building this movement bigger and bigger and bigger until we drown out the voices of this administration. So, with that being said, folks, remember, turn up for No Kings. And I would also encourage you all, if there's not an event close by, within 30 minutes, consider registering a new event to gather people in your local area to a closer protest, okay? We have already surpassed the number of protest sites that have been that were put together for the first one. But now we need to get even more, and we need to get even more people out. Grab your friends, your family, your neighbors, anyone who's willing to come and get out there on October 18th. And one last call to action. I know we're getting to a lot, but if you want to volunteer on October 13th or October 20th or October 27th or November 2nd to phone bank for a man who has been called the Midwest Mamdani, Omar Fateh, who is running to be mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, please consider phone banking. Doesn't get as much press as Zoran Mamdani, but his policies are just as good, and it means the world for folks that live here in the Midwest. So I'm going to link that as well in chat. And folks, let's all make it happen, huh? Whew, there we go. We finished it. We did it. I know that segment kind of dipped in energy in the middle where I flailed around to figure out the electoral history of the mayor of Fairbanks, Alaska. I did not prep that beforehand, and I do apologize. Will you be at the protest? I have to figure out some logistical concerns. But my hope is to be at the October 18th protest. You know what gives you tons of energy? Man milk. What the fuck, Knife, you're stuck. God. People out of insulin going to get it on Craigslist because they're trying to hopefully not die today. True story from an acquaintance. Damn. Do you think Trump had a second stroke? Well, my theory, again, not an expert on medicine at all, but my theory is that he's having a series of mini strokes, which is why his face has been like slacking at some times and other times looks relatively fine. But it also explains why he's just he looks like shit, and he's I think he's on the way out, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Whew, folks, if you've been enjoying the show, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, do the things, click the button. We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes, and if you are enjoying the show or getting anything out of today's stream, consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc., because, folks, you guys make this stream possible. I could not do it without you fine people, and I really appreciate any of you who support the stream. You can still sit at home and stream. I can, but I would like to get out. I believe in getting enough people out on the street, and I have logistical issues related to, getting out to the protest that I don't really want to talk about on stream, but I am fairly confident I will be able to sort those out by the day of. Jack, IRL protest stream? I do not have an IRL streaming setup. So no, I'm not going to be streaming when I go to the protest, but I might stream after I go to the protest. It's not like I'm not streaming because I don't want to paint the target on myself or like anything like that. I'm not streaming because I don't have a mobile streaming setup, and I don't really want to carry my phone around like that. And the logistical concerns are completely unrelated to anything that you guys will know about or be aware of. Don't risk it. There will be tear gas and rubber grenades. I think that this turnout on October 18th will be too big for them to really handle with tear gas and rubber bullets. You underestimate their cruelty? Yeah, I mean, again, the harder they try and clamp down, the more people will turn up to the next one. So, you know, if they want to try that, it's not going to go well for them. Seriously about the insulin? Yeah, before the Affordable Care Act, people were dying because of insulin they couldn't afford insulin. And honestly, after the Affordable Care Act, people were still dying occasionally because they were out of insulin, or were trying to ration insulin too much, you know? And those times are going to come back if they do this Medicaid cut. Irascended Kitten, thank you for the $5 dono. Very much appreciated. Folks, we need 20 more subs to roll the wheel of pain and pleasure. Am I going to be dressed as a frog for No King's Day? I don't know what I'm going to be wearing that day. I don't think I really have the storage space for another costume like that at the moment. But we'll see. Beep doop beep boo. We really just can't try universal healthcare? I mean, my goal is for us to try universal healthcare and never let it go. You can go as a manatee? I don't want to go in that costume, though. Wear the manatee costume? Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Could be fun. Do. All right, how many of you have hit the like button on this stream? You will get in the frog onesie? Maybe one day. But folks, support the stream. Let's see where we're going next. All right. I think we are going to do our first governor debate. Oof. Oof. In the case of my acquaintance, they needed a prescription renewal that took longer than expected, and then it took longer to get to them, so they didn't have any left and resorted to Craigslist to make it past the gap. That is fucking nuts. Oof, folks! Also, just want to say, the response to some of my latest videos has been pretty wild. Like, I think some of the YouTube videos I've been putting out have been escaping containment, as it were. The video I put out on Hope the other day is now, I think, one of the third or fourth biggest videos I've ever put out. Which is, it's just kind of crazy that that happened in like 2 days, you know? And I'm not I'm not gonna lie. I'm not upset about it. I'm just kind of like, whoa, that's a lot. Is the Caden person complaining in the comments? I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about, Comrade Girl. Maybe maybe it's worth pointing out, but like I don't pay attention to like conservative shit heels in my YouTube comments. Like I don't really, when I read the comments, or at least the times I do read the comments, I'm not like engaging mentally with the conservatives who are just there to like post shit or hurt my feelings. I'm genuinely looking for either like comments that people have posted in good faith, like kind of, and you can kind of suss out what those comments are, or that are trying to point out issues with my content or like things I hadn't considered before. Sometimes there's genuinely good feedback, So yeah. In a sea of misery, people need content creators who will just point them in a direction saying, shit's bad, stay safe, stay low. Yeah, that's true. Loving all this recent response to ICE. Fuck them. Indeed! See ya, backed up, caked up. You are far more likely to be bored at a No Kings protest than be in any danger. It's true! Which debate are you looking at first? I think we'll do the New Jersey gubernatorial debate. There's some wild stuff at work in the New Jersey race that is worth looking at. I'm not 100% sure how I found this channel, but I think it was from your second most popular video about Shad. It's true. I am at some point going to need to make more videos about other conservative, like conservative commentators, just because, like that tends to be the type of content that gets people introduced to me for the first time, responding to conservative audiences, or not audiences, commentators, tends to bring in more of an audience, and it then allows me to deliver, talking points that I believe in, and like the ideas that I think are good. If New Jersey elects that GOP clown Shitterelli, I will no longer recognize it as my ancestral homeland. Oh, God. Quigley, there should be a new Metatron. One of the Metatron segments should be coming out soon. And, Metatron is still on the wheel of pain and pleasure. The wheel is still here, waiting, tantalizing you with its possibilities. And you know what? I need to take Dinesh D'Souza off. There we go. But you know who's now there? Who wasn't before? We got Steven Crowder on the wheel. That's right. We haven't talked about Crowder in a long-ass time. Yeah, the wheel of PP. You got it, Rain. Found this channel from a VOD driving home from work. I was so depressed at the time, surrounded by blue-collar Trumpers, and Jack brought so much hope. I'm really glad. I'm really, really glad. No, I promise the Crowder segment's good. I promise. I promise. By good, I mean it's probably really painful, but it's also, maybe we need to comment on the shit that Crowder's been doing recently.
Metatron. More than meets the eye. Metatron. Nazi in disguise.
It's true, Sake Tanuki. Thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Getting us closer and closer, inching towards the goal. All right. Don't threaten us with a good time. Look, the wheel of pain and pleasure threatens you with all kinds of times. The city of pain and delight from the Star Trek episode Spock's Brain. Spock's brain is such a silly episode of Star Trek. I love it. I hate the wheel. Don't say that. It'll get offended, and then it will punish you. It's the wheel of pee-pee. All right. Oh no, Liz Galahad, no. I'm one of the few poor souls to read Shad's book thinking it was going to be good. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I could only see punishment. There's a Bernie Sanders segment on there. There's a Hasanabe segment on there. There's a Zateo segment on there. There are good. There's a Tommy Lauren segment on there that I promise is good. I promise you'll enjoy it. All right. Also, yeah, it is weighted towards punishment, but that's just because a bunch of you are bottoms. All right. Now, let's jump into the governor debate. Y'all ready? Wheel of Insanity, turn, turn, turn.
Jack is going to enjoy making you suffer. And she is going to make you enjoy enjoying it.
It's true. You guys keep coming back for more. Trump is Putin's bottom. It's true.
An Azan segment? Shocking.
I know, I don't do many Azan segments these days. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 gifted tier 1 subs. That brings us up to 88. All right. Here we go, folks. Gonna jump ahead to the appropriate time mark. Here we go.
He's going to be trying to drive it home, again, among those male voters, but he needs to reach beyond them, I think, to get a little more traction.
You know, we're talking about, and you're
Assume away from her to make
Come
up that.
on. Here we go. All right. So, folks, we need to talk about the debates that are going on in this country for up-and-coming elections, major elections. Our first, governor debate that we're going to talk about, gubernatorial debate, even if you want to get fancy with it, is going to be New Jersey's gubernatorial debate. This is between Mickey Sherrill and Jack. A chatter called him Shitterelli, and I can't get that out of my head. But it's an interesting race, right? It has already made some national headlines because the Social Security Administration, or the VA, gave Mickey Sherrill's records to Jack Shitterelli's campaign, and it included some deeply personal information. It was a crazy leak here. Yeah. Let's see. Ta-da. Yeah. It's very, very bizarre. Yeah. The New Jersey Globe reported Thursday that Cheryl, whose campaign has hinged on her service as a Navy veteran and helicopter pilot, did not walk in the Naval Academy commencement ceremony in 1994 and didn't appear in a commencement program for that from that ceremony. Right? And, like, basically, the Citarelli campaign got a hold of Cheryl's service records from not the VA or the Social Security Administration, that's my bad, but from the National Archives. So apparently her records were released by accident. Like her military file was sent to well, a former Republican candidate for office in New Jersey. So basically, the National Archives got a request from this former Republican candidate for Cheryl's military records, and the National Archives just said, sure, here you go. And this is like a pretty big breach of like her personal security. And the information released included her unredacted social security number, as well as her date of birth and her address, essentially doxing her to her political opponent. So this has already been a pretty big deal. So we're gonna just jump right into this debate, and let's take a look at what's in store for us, shall we?
Tonight, two candidates vying to lead New Jersey into a new era. Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mikey Sherrill. New Jersey's next chapter.
I'm sorry, her name is Mikey Sherrill? Okay, I apologize for mispronouncing her name. But like, Mickey can also be spelled like that, in my defense, alright?
Is decided by you. Live from the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center and Rutgers University. The 2025 New Jersey gubernatorial debate. Your voice. Your vote. Sponsored by ABC 7 in New York. WPVI 6 ABC in Philadelphia. The Edward J. Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy at Rutgers University. And the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center. Tonight.
Okay, good. YouTube finally provided the option to make the closed captions legible.
Two visions for Trenton take center stage. Our candidates are Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mikey Sherrill. And now,
also, you know, I'm sure everyone's thinking this, but Mikey Sherrill looks like Laura Dern from Jurassic Park, and I'm here for it.
News anchor Tamala Edwards and Eyewitness News anchor Bill Ritter.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to this debate between the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor of New Jersey. I'm Bill Ritter.
And I'm Tamala Edwards. Over the next hour, the candidates will answer questions from Bill and myself, as well as questions from our media partner, Univision. The candidates will also answer some questions that were submitted by voters through an online questionnaire.
Now, the debate was awarded by the New Jersey Election Law Enforcement Commission. Gubernatorial candidates are mandated to participate in this debate.
Okay, now, I know it's completely beside the point and like totally unrelated to anything we're talking about, but why is the L really giant? Like in this seal for the Election Law Enforcement Commission, why in the acronym here is the L just gigantic? Why? What is this graphic design is my passion situation here? The law!
Under state law, as a condition of attempting mutual funding positions under New Jersey's gubernatorial public.
The 70s, back when L's were bigger. I see.
Financing program.
Under the debate rules, the candidate to whom the question is posed will have 1 minute to answer, followed by a 1 minute response from the opposing candidate. The candidate who received the initial question will
You
then
have to
receive
yell
a
the
30
law.
second
It's the
rebuttal.
law.
The candidates have agreed to a 30-second opening statement and a 1 minute closing
Because
statement.
living in Jersey is a big L.
Oh!
At the end of our debate.
Okay, so those are the ground rules. We're going to begin with the candidates' opening statements, and by prior draw, it all is going to start with Jack Ciattarelli. Sir?
New Jersey,
You guys can't unhear Ciattarelli, can you? Not a single one of you can unhear it. It's this association alone has undone his campaign.
We need change. We need an honest, qualified, hands-on CEO governor who will bring that change.
Can the rhetoric of a CEO governor or a CEO politician, can that rhetoric die already? Like, I would really like it to, because the government isn't a company. It's not being run for profit. And the idea that it should be is dumb. Your roads don't need to turn a profit. Your fire department doesn't need to turn a profit. You know, the basic building blocks of society don't need to turn a profit. Your schools, public schools anyway, don't need to turn a profit. And that's actually good, because if they were required to turn a profit, it would be a much worse society.
Why? We have an overdevelopment crisis in our suburban communities. We have an affordability crisis because of property taxes and electricity bills. We have a public safety crisis because we don't let our police do their jobs any longer. We have a public education crisis because we've watered down the public school curriculum. Tonight, I'll give you a plan and very specific policy proposals on how to fix all the things that makes New Jersey so broken. I look forward to tonight's debate.
Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill.
Good evening, New Jersey. My name's Mikey Sherrill. I have a different kind of background, so I'll be a different kind of governor. Navy helicopter pilot, federal prosecutor, member of Congress, and mom of 4 kids. I am laser focused on driving down your costs, making New Jersey more affordable. I'm going to start by declaring a state of emergency on energy costs, make government more accountable to you, making it safer and more affordable. And I'm going to ensure that I am always fighting for all of you.
All right. It is now time to turn to the questions, and we're going to begin with you, Congresswoman Sherrill. According to the World Population Review, it costs 14% more to live in New Jersey compared to the rest of the nation. And it touches on so many issues, including gas, groceries, and housing. What are 3 specific things that you would do to ease that burden?
You know, I constantly hear about this from voters. So that's why on day 1, I'm declaring a state of emergency on energy prices, freezing rate hikes. I'm going to take on the PBMs. Those are those middlemen that can drive up drug prices up to 10 times, driving down your health care costs. And I'm going to ensure that I'm taking on those landlords that are colluding to drive up your rental prices. So housing, health care, utility costs, immediately get to work driving down your costs. And quite frankly, we know my opponent won't do it, because his number 1 donor is somebody who's actually under investigation for driving up those rental costs. So
let's fucking get those body blows in right off the bat. We're like 1 minute in. Let's go, Mikey. Mikey can throw a punch. Let's go. Yeah, your opponent is bought and paid for by these companies that are driving up your costs. That's right. That's right. My opponent is directly fucking your wives.
I'm going to continue to fight for New Jerseyans, and my opponent just won't.
Mr. Ciattarelli.
My opponent has put forth an illegitimate plan that isn't feasible. Even the governor, a member of her own party, has said that, I don't really think you can do that. There are 77 incumbent Democrats.
I don't really think you can do that. In the meantime, the president of the United States is just like, hold my beer. I'm gonna shred the Constitution and use it as toilet paper.
Democratic legislators, 52.
But heaven forbid a governor in her own state bring down cost of living or, you know, healthcare costs. Governors can't do that. Elect me a governor. I promise I won't do any of those attempts to make things better. Rational, common sense governance that brings down costs and makes the state more livable? Impossible.
Of which are on the ballot this year, not one has endorsed her plan. To get electricity rates down on day 1, I will pull us out of Reggie. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy that has cost New Jersey $300 to $500 million a year for homeowners, tenants, and businesses, and it's been a failure. Electricity is at its all-time high, the air is no cleaner, and ratepayer dollars are going to other states. So we can provide some relief on day one. We also have to take care of the property tax crisis, something you won't hear my opponent ever talk about.
I love the talk about the property tax crisis when like property taxes are like the #1 way to fund schools. Yeah, let's just slash the property taxes. What possible negative ramifications could come from that?
We need a new.
He wants to repeal the CO2 tax. Yeah, no, dude wants to kill the planet and your schools.
School funding formula in New Jersey. With a new school funding formula, we can have a more equitable distribution of state aid, and in so doing, reduce the property tax burden with our local school districts.
Yeah, except that like Republicans don't have a plan to fix that distribution issue. There is no, like, this guy, I guarantee you, doesn't have that distribution formula figured out. He's like, yeah, we'll cut property taxes and then we'll figure out a new formula. No, you got to have the formula, then you get to do the plan, you know? And to a certain degree, he's right. Schools shouldn't be tied to property taxes. But the issue is they are at the moment, and you need a transitionary plan to get away from that.
We also have two other things that are driving the affordability crisis in New Jersey. Housing. We need more affordable housing. We just need to be smart about the way we do it. Another thing that's driving the affordability crisis is childcare. And I have a specific plan on how to relieve that burden for families with young children.
So none of that.
I have a specific plan on how to relieve that burden for families with young children. It's called the super late term abortion policy. I won't elaborate.
Is actually going to drive down costs for anyone here, and that's no surprise because my opponent has voted against over $1 billion in property tax relief for people. He's voted to raise taxes at every level of government in which he's served, and he continues to propose different actions that will raise taxes on the people of New Jersey.
Okay, thank you for that.
Bill, our rules are no rebuttals.
No double rebuttals. Yes, there's not the second one. But I'm going to go to you first, Mr. Chitterelli, and talk about property tax, because New Jersey has one of the highest property tax rates in the country. We know that, more than $10,000 a year for the average person. Many residents remain limited by the federal government about how much they can actually deduct per year. Not long ago, as we all know, it was 100% deductible. Now it's a fraction of that. Given that, would you lower New Jersey's property tax? It sounded like your opponent did not think you would.
We need a new school funding formula. Anyone who's from New Jersey would know that anywhere from 15 to 20% of your property tax bill is municipal taxes, 15 to 20% are county taxes, but anywhere from 60 to 70% could be the school tax. And the reason why the school tax is so high in New Jersey is because of the way we distribute state aid to our schools. We need a new school funding formula. But there are other things that we can do to relieve the property tax burden. For example, make all property taxes deductible on the New Jersey tax return.
What gets really lost in conversations about school funding related to property tax is that higher income areas generate more like funding for schools in their area. Like that's the original reason why property taxes were linked with school funding. It's so that, you know, rich areas could maintain nice schools, poor areas languished as a result. Right? You know, due to the fact that like there was a lot of segregation during these time periods, you know, it was a deliberate effort to put and codify kind of segregated schooling on the books in a post Jim Crow world, in a post, you know, 1960s world. And like this idea of decoupling the like schools from property taxes is good. But when a Republican comes to you and says, we're going to decouple this, what I hear is you're gonna make all the schools worse. Because in the Republican model, you decouple schooling from property taxes. And this is the way to make not just, you know, rich area public schools worse, but all the public schools worse, so that rich kids instead go to private schools. It is kind of one of the transitory steps that Republicans like to take to get to a voucher program that will effectively be a death warrant for the public school system in a state, right? It's a multi-step plan that ends with basically public schools being just the worst. And, you know, public schools are already pretty not great. But they're, believe it or not, they can be made worse.
Retirement income tax-free, cap it at 1% for first-time home buyers, 1% of the assessed value of the home. My opponent voted no on the big, beautiful bill.
And keep in mind, in a public voucher program to go to like private schools, poor people don't have enough of a voucher to actually go to these private schools that the rich kids are being sent to. You know, it doesn't work that way.
You're now allowed to deduct up to $40,000 of your property taxes on your federal tax return. That too lessens the tax burden. So there's a number of different things that we can do. Also in that bill, there was a child care tax credit. There's a credit for private tuition, and it doesn't tax tips, overtime, or Social Security. The big, beautiful bill put more close to $5,000 in the pocket of the average middle-class New Jerseyan. She voted no.
So my opponent likes to talk about how he's from New Jersey, but anybody who's actually fighting for New Jersey would not raise taxes at every single level of government in which he served, voting to raise taxes. He's voted against over $1 billion in property tax relief. He's against tax relief for seniors, and he's for Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, which would undermine the ability to deduct almost 30 billion taxes from New Jerseyans. So here's the...
Not to mention the fact that the One Big Beautiful Bill cuts $1 trillion from Medicaid. You're like, oh yeah, you're gonna save. Even in the case where you save $5,000, if your monthly premium for health insurance goes up 300%, you're not gonna you are out money in that circumstance just on health insurance alone. That's not counting tariffs. That's not counting any of the additional cost increases that are baked in. That's not counting people not being able to get Medicaid and rural hospitals closing. We're just talking from health insurance premiums going up alone, you are already out money on this trade.
The thing. He says he's from New Jersey, but he's not fighting for New Jerseyans. In fact, I'll tell you, I just read an article the other day about how he's voted against even things like giving rapists parental rights. He's voted to give rapists parental rights.
I didn't really expect the debate to escalate this far this quickly, but Mikey can throw some fucking punches. Damn, girl. When you are in the territory of my opponent supports rapists' rights, that's okay. Go off, Queen.
For the victim of their rape. I can't understand how anybody who wants to be a fighter for New Jersey would ever do something like that.
Mr. Chitterelli, response?
My opponent has been blatantly lying all throughout this campaign, saying they're going to raise the sales tax to 10%. It's
not gonna touch the rape rights position you have, sir.
a lie. It's not true. We're not raising any taxes in New Jersey. I've talked about very specifically how to lower the income tax and the property tax bill all across New Jersey. At the last debate, when she was asked whether or not she would raise the sales tax, her exact words were, "I'm not going to commit myself to anything right now." That doesn't sound like somebody who's trying to relieve the tax burden in New Jersey, and New Jersey has faced the highest overall tax burden in the country.
Okay, thank you both. Congresswoman, the Chitterelli campaign has asked...
Absolutely no rebuttal for the rape rights attack. That's crazy. He was unprepared for that.
Asking for the full release of your military records. The National Archives, we know, say it's mistakenly releasing, and it did release, your personal information in those records 2 weeks ago. Since then, there have been questions about why you were not allowed to participate in the graduation ceremonies at the Naval Academy more than 30 years ago. Can you explain to voters why you were not allowed to participate?
Yeah, so I have addressed that. I've said, look, I didn't turn in some of my classmates so I didn't walk at graduation because I come from an incredibly accountable place. But I went on to graduate. I was commissioned an officer in the United States Navy. I held positions of trust throughout the Navy, both as a helicopter pilot, as a Russian policy officer, as a flag aide to the deputy commander of the U.S. Atlantic Fleet during the Cole bombing and during 9/11. I received numerous awards and commendations, held the highest levels of security clearance. But here's what I think.
Can we just like take a moment and be like, so like this lady made a military career, right? And her opponents are trying to like make a story out of the fact that she didn't walk in like her graduation ceremonies. Like that is such a nothing of a story compared to like the fact, like, why a question about this and not a question, like a follow-up question about the rape rights comment? Like, come on. Why does that matter? That's the thing. It doesn't.
I think really demands an answer is why my opponent still won't take accountability for the release of those records. It's under federal investigation that a member of his team, someone he vetted to be his lieutenant governor, actually got access to those records, said he was shocked and disgusted, and yet nevertheless shopped them out to reporters. When he was...
Yeah, that is an excellent point. Yeah, this is... I was expecting them to touch on this, right? Like, the guy who requested the records was the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor. And the National Archives just said, whoopsie doodle, we shouldn't have done that. Uh-oh, guess it's already out in the world. Anyway, and then just continued on doing their thing, right? Crazy.
Asked about it, he acted as if he had no idea what his campaign was doing. So either he's really incompetent or he's lying.
Your rebuttal, sir.
At the last debate, Mikey said that she was the most transparent gubernatorial candidate of all time. If she's so transparent, then approve the release of her disciplinary records at the Naval Academy so we can know why it is that she was punished. There was a cheating scandal in the early 1990s while she was there. We know for a fact that she wasn't allowed to participate in the graduation ceremony. We know for a fact that her name was not listed in the commencement.
Well, I'm going to throw out there that if she was involved in a cheating scandal, she probably wouldn't have been allowed to graduate. You know, like generally people who cheat on their exams are not then handed a diploma, right? Like, none of this matters. Like, sir, your lieutenant governor made an illegal request for her, like, military records. Like, what are you talking about?
Exercise program. She says it's because she didn't turn in classmates. That's the honor code at West Point. That's not the honor code at the Naval Academy. You don't get punished for that. I think she was punished for something else. And so I think she needs to come clean. I think the people in New Jersey deserve an answer as to why she was punished at the Naval Academy. And she's trying to create a giant smokescreen for something the National Archives has taken complete responsibility for and apologized for with regard to a Freedom of Information Act request that was perfectly legal. The National Archives has taken responsibility and apologized for what they did.
Congresswoman?
They're having a federal investigation right now into that. But look, we have a federal government under the Trump administration that has released paperwork on tons of people and their social security information. Seniors come to me all the time. We have a president who's told governors they have to turn over all of this information, things like voting records and license plate numbers. And we now have a candidate who's turned over all of my information to reporters. I'm certainly not going to open up my classmates' hundreds of records so he can rampage through them on a witch hunt. He should take responsibility. He should turn back those records in which he still holds.
Okay.
That's actually a pretty interesting piece of the puzzle I didn't know. His campaign is still maintaining these records that were illegally released to them. That's nuts, dog.
Mr. Chitterelli, next question. Your opponent has criticized your connections to President Trump, who has endorsed you. Do you consider yourself part of the MAGA movement? And in this divided state, can you point to one major Trump policy that you support and one that you oppose?
I'm part of a New Jersey movement. We need change in New Jersey. We've got various crises that are raging across the state that are punishing the middle class. The Cheddarellis have been here for 100 years. 3 generations of Cheddarellis have all owned their own businesses here. I've had the opportunity and privilege to serve at every level of government, terminally myself each time, more times than not taking the salary or the benefits. I know what's going on in the state of New Jersey. I know what it is that we need to get done. I agree with the president in securing the border. I think that was a matter of national security.
That's right. We must secure the border of New Jersey. No more New Yorkers. If you leave the state, no New Yorkers can come back in. That's the new New Jersey border policy. All right? We must be vigilant against the New York threat.
And I've said I'll secure New Jersey by us not being a sanctuary state nor having sanctuary cities. I disagree with the president on the Empire Wind Farm off of Long Island. We hope that that doesn't mean there'll be wind farms off our Jersey shore. He's put a temporary halt on that. I will make it permanent when I'm governor. But let me be clear. No matter who it is that's in the White House, my job is to stand up for the 9.3 million citizens of this state, and I will. I will fiercely advocate for them at all times. But let me also say this, that in times of need, it's best to have a relationship with whoever occupies the White House, and I will.
Congresswoman?
He's shown zero signs of standing up to this president. In fact, the president himself called Jack 100% MAGA, and he's shown every sign of being that. He said it's his job to support the president of the United States. I think as governor, it's the job to support the people of New Jersey. I've taken on anyone and everyone.
Hey, I think these attacks are great. I think she's landing a lot of great points here.
Including powerful members of my own party to fight for people here in New Jersey. Jack won't say one cross word about the president. Even when he froze Gateway Tunnel funding, Jack said that's not a New Jersey problem. Well, I beg to differ, as do the over 200,000 people a day that ride that rail system into that tunnel, especially the people, too, that would get one of the almost 100,000 jobs in the region. That'll cost us $1 million a day, and yet Jack can't stand
Tell
up.
us how you aren't sucking off the president. Let me tell you why I love about this president.
Like, he can't even stop sucking off the president. Like, he's a fiend. You know, like when you know, you guys remember the bathroom scandals, like the foot tapping scandals that were happening with like Republican lawmakers way back in the day, in the public restrooms. Like, Jack Ciattarelli is basically doing that, but for Donald Trump. Except it's not in a bathroom; it's just right on stage in front of everybody.
He's even said that New Jerseyans should take on a little bit of pain for Trump's tariffs. I don't think so. I actually think we should fight those tariffs, and as governor, I'd join the lawsuit to do just that.
Mr. Ciattarelli?
You know,
I love. Oh God, I love. Can we? Sorry. Like, can we actually take a moment to really marvel about how insane it is that the current president of the United States is unilaterally taxing the American people in the form of tariffs, and Democrats are still. And I've liked Mikey's performance throughout this generally, but like, one gripe so far is you really need to draw a line here. Like, the president of the United States has imposed unilaterally a tax on every American that is making everything more expensive for no reason. It's not building industry. It's not improving the lives of residents in New Jersey. It's not doing anything other than flattering his own ego. And this man, my opponent, is supporting that. He is supporting policies and a president that have actually materially screwed each and every one of you over, and he's proud of those policies. My opponent supports those policies. My opponent won't even talk about how those policies hurt the residents of this state. And like, I want it to be more clear what's happening. I want the attack to be more like front-facing on that front.
It's interesting, when the pandemic came, Our governor, Phil Murphy, who never had anything nice to say about Donald Trump, went down to the White House, had a very nice conversation with him, and got the respirators we needed because our ERs were on overload and people were dying. It's important to have a relationship. And a relationship means respectfully disagreeing when you believe the president's wrong and agreeing to get things done on behalf of New Jersey. One thing that I will do, because New Jersey's been a donor state for decades, is I will harness the energy of our congressional delegation and bring more money back to New Jersey.
We've got to follow.
But I won't harness the power of the wind or the sun, because even though those are free, I don't believe in a free lunch or a free wind or a free sun. Okay, we need to figure out a way to commodify the wind and commodify the sun. You only get to see the sun if you pay me.
Up for both of you, and you'll each have about 15 seconds to answer. And we'll start with you, Mr. Chitterelli. What grade would you give President Trump for his second term?
Right now, I'd certainly give the president an A. I think he's right about
my
everything that
God.
he's doing. He has secured the border.
Oh my God. Okay, dude.
And the economy, we've got inflation is much lower than it was when Joe Biden was in the White House, and particularly because of what he's done specific to New Jersey. Temporary halt on the wind farms, beating up on New York Democrats over the gateway over congestion pricing plan, and quadrupling the SALT deduction.
Congresswoman.
Amazing. I think that tells us all we need to know about who Jack Chitterelli is supporting. I give him an F. Right now, we see at every single level, costs are going up on New Jerseyans. So whether it's the tariff costs that are costing you more from everything from a cup of coffee to the groceries you buy for dinner at night to the one big beautiful bill which will raise health care, energy, and housing costs.
While we're giving grades, we're going to continue it, I think, with 30 seconds to answer. Congresswoman, what grade would you give to Governor Murphy?
I'd give him a B. There's things like paying for the pensions, the 9 increases in our credit rating that I like, but overall I think there's ways Trenton could do a lot better, being much more responsive to people. I'm going to have a culture shift in Trenton. I'm going to make sure that we have more accountability in government, driving down costs for people. I also think with the housing crisis, there's more we need to do to build houses, transit-oriented development, to make sure we can drive those costs down. And then our rail system. I'd fight harder for more infrastructure to make sure more people can get around the state easily.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Bill, it's an F. This has been the worst governorship of our lifetime. And the reason why a number of significant...
All of my friends are the smartest, most intelligent people, and all of my enemies are morons. Anyway, moving on.
A number of Democrats all around the state have endorsed my candidacy is because they're fearful of another 4 years of Phil Murphy's policy failures. Take a look what's happened in New Jersey. We have an affordability crisis because of property taxes, electricity rate, housing, and child care. We have a public education crisis because we watered down the public school curriculum. We have a public safety crisis because we don't let our local police do their jobs. And we have an overdevelopment crisis in our suburban communities because of high-density housing. It's been a failure across the board, and we need change.
Okay. Thank you.
I love that his problem in suburban areas is overdevelopment of, you know, essentially efficient housing, i.e. apartment buildings. He's basically running against the idea that, like, more people should live in, like, places and against the idea of infrastructure to support those growing populations. Like, it's okay to have more people living in a place, just build the infrastructure necessary to get them to work and, like, live. He's literally running on, let's tear down the apartment buildings.
I believe.
Is it to me?
Yes.
Okay. Number 5, Congressman Cheryl.
No, you're right, Bill. It was me.
But I'll take it anytime you want. It's okay.
I love this question. Congresswoman, we are in a government shutdown. Democrats say this is to protect against Medicare cuts and rising premiums. Republicans argue you should fund the government and deal with everything else in negotiations. Why is a shutdown with workers furloughed and programs stopped better than doing that?
So I think we've seen at every level cuts to to affordability for working people. So we've seen these tariff cuts, we've seen these healthcare costs, we've seen hikes on utility costs as we go forward with the One Big Beautiful Bill. And now they've taken away healthcare in the One Big Beautiful Bill for millions of people, and they now want to cut healthcare support for people who still have it with the markets, the Affordable Care Act markets. That's what we're fighting for. And so right now with the president, with the Senate and the House, all in GOP hands, the fact is they've got to work to reopen government so workers can get back to work and we can continue to drive down healthcare costs.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Work to reopen government? When there were shutdowns during the Biden era, she voted every time for the continuing resolution to keep government, get it open again. This time around, with Trump in the White House, she's voted no on the resolutions to keep government open. I hope the shutdown ends within moments. I hope it ends tomorrow. We've got 22,000 New Jerseyans that are being furloughed because of the shutdown. But this is what happens in Washington, D.C. The job of a governor is to get things done. I have relationships with people in the legislature. We'll be able to work together to get things done. I've heard a number of times already tonight that President Trump seems to be responsible for everything that's wrong in New Jersey. I don't know what he has to do with our property taxes. I don't know what he has to do with our electricity rates, the failure of our public school system, the failure of our public safety across New Jersey with handcuffing.
Wait, I don't know what he has to do with the failure of our school system. My brother in Christ, he's dismantling the Department of Education. What are you talking about?
Our police, the failure of overdeveloping our suburbs. He doesn't have anything to do.
What do you mean the handcuffing of our police? Like, dude, he's like slashing all of your budgets, dude. Like he's slashing one of the biggest lifelines to your state in the form of Medicaid. Like that money helps your constituents, and suddenly they're not going to have health care anymore, bud. He's adding problems onto your plate. And if you're advocating essentially that the position of the New Jersey government should be, we don't have enough money to go around, then suddenly having like a $100 billion hole additionally blasted into your budget isn't going to help.
With all those things. So as I often like to say on the campaign trail, if you get a flat tire tomorrow, get ready. She's going to blame it on President Trump.
I know he likes to excuse President Trump from everything because that's who he works for, basically. But here are the facts. 1 in 3 children are on Medicaid. There's going to be about
Hey, finally! Took a long time, but like let's fucking go, Mikey. Let's go.
$5 billion hole in the budget because of Trump's cuts to Medicaid. He's cut off funding for some of our innovative power as we're facing utility crisis. It's going to drive up costs for families by hundreds of dollars. He's just taking away Title I funding for our schools, driving up our taxpayer rates. So that's why I'm fighting that. But make no mistake, I'll also fight Trenton to bring down costs for families.
Okay, thank you both very much. We're going to take a question from one of our media partners. It's for Mr. Chitterelli, and you'll have a chance to come back afterwards. This is from Univision. Here's Ana Patricia Camdiana.
Mr. Chitterelli, in our recent Univision town hall, you spoke about a path to recognition for undocumented immigrants. What exactly do you mean? Are you referring to a path to citizenship?
I support the president in securing the border. I believe it was a matter of national security. I think it's my role as governor to keep the state safe, and we'll do that on day one by not having sanctuary cities in our state, nor will we be a sanctuary state. I've been very, very transparent about that. I think that
She asked you about a path to citizenship, or what a path to recognition means.
only encourages illegal immigration, and it does restrict our local police in certain ways. And if a local mayor and police chief want to work in partnership with a federal agency to keep their community safe, I think they should be allowed to do so. Having said that, anyone who came here from a history of criminality, came here illegally, came from a history of criminality in their country of origin, has to go back. Anyone who came here illegally and has committed crime or has scammed our government assistance program since coming here has to go back. I believe that everyone else should be put on a pathway to recognition. This has always been my position. And so
what does that mean?
Pathway to recognition means some form of government issued ID, so we don't have people living in the shadows or working under a falsified social security number, which isn't fair to those who do that. So the answer to the very specific answer to her question is a pathway to recognition.
But like that, that still leaves them vulnerable to being scooped up by ICE. In the current environment, why would any undocumented person engage with that recognition system when we know that ICE agents are just like literally pulling people out of cars who look Hispanic? Why would we do that? Why would any undocumented person do that, rather? Just deeply unserious people, Republicans.
That's not really a real thing. That doesn't confer any status to anyone. So that's why.
Yes, Mikey. Yes, good job.
You know, standing up here, I'm incredibly concerned about public safety. I'm a former federal prosecutor. I'm the only person on the stage who's prosecuted a violent criminal who was then deported. So I care deeply about that. But I've always been for comprehensive immigration reform, as have many people. We got very close, even with some very conservative members of the Senate. And that involves securing our borders, creating a pathway to citizenship for DACA recipients, TPS recipients, people who are working and paying taxes. Having that pathway could be so helpful to our economy. So that's a very clear answer to this. I think Jack works to say anything he can to anyone, but at the end of the day, he's always going to do what Trump tells him to do.
30 seconds? The Congresswoman has been anything but strong when it comes to public safety. In Congress, she voted to get rid of qualified immunity. This is the bedrock of protection for local law enforcement. She has said that she is considered reappointing the current Attorney General, who's considered to be the most anti-police Attorney General we've ever had. She's given some kind of weird endorsement of Mondami. Mondami has endorsed her. I called on
I'm going crazy. I'm going fucking nuts here, dog. I need to hear him say it again.
She's given some kind of weird endorsement of Mondami. Mondami has
Momdami. Why can none of these people say it right? Yeah, Mommy Dami. Like it's like they're compelled to say Mommy Dami. I don't understand it. It at a certain point it has to be like actually intentional, right? Like their campaign advisors are like, say it wrong. You'll signal to the right people by saying it wrong. Right? Like, that has to be it, because his name is Zoran Mamdani. Like, Mamdani is not a hard word to say. Because all Republicans are perverts? True.
Endorsed her. I called on her to renounce that endorsement. Josh Shapiro, the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania, has denounced Mondami, as has the congressman in the north. And this is somebody who's been also anti-police. We want our community safe. We need a governor, an attorney general, 21 county prosecutors, and a superintendent of state police who will keep our community safe.
The next question goes to you, Congresswoman Cheryl. Political tensions are at a high, and there are true fears in the public about political violence. We recently saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and in this state in 2020, a judge's son was killed in a political attack. Are there concrete things that you can do to help bring people together without fear?
Yeah, that was horrific. That's a judge I practiced before, and we worked incredibly hard at the federal level to get Daniel's Law so that we could actually get resources into the federal judges to keep them safe. But we've seen a continued uptick in political violence, and that is never acceptable. It really undermines, I think, our democracy and the idea that people want to come forward and serve. And I worry very much that with this kind of political violence, we are going to see people trying to step away from public life. So here in New Jersey, as governor, I will always work to make sure everyone is safe, to ensure that people can speak freely and yet not face political violence. I've worked at every level to do just that, whether it's on college campuses, with our presidents of universities to ask how they're keeping students safe there. I've also worked throughout the state to make sure that in our district, we are listening to all voices. I've heard from people on all different sides of the issue. They are always welcome to have discussions with my office.
Mr. Chitterelli?
Since the time that the Congresswoman is declared for governor, she's missed 90% of the votes in Washington. But a few Fridays ago, she skipped out of two very important joint appearances in New Jersey to get to Washington, D.C. to vote yes on the Charlie Kirk resolution celebrating his life. I applaud her yes on that vote. When she came back to New Jersey and caught hell from the left, she issued a statement condemning Charlie Kirk, calling him a misogynist and a racist. The two things are inconsistent to me. The way to
I have to begrudgingly agree. These are inconsistent stances.
tamp down the hateful rhetoric is by having the right kind of leadership in place. I've always conducted myself in a respectful way, even when I disagree with people. I'm never going to tarnish the name my parents gave me, and I'm never going to embarrass my 4 children. I've always been respectful with my rhetoric, and I think that that's more important than ever. New Jersey is the most diverse state in the country. I think there's power and beauty in that diversity when we embrace it. I embrace it. Anyone who follows me on social media sees everywhere I go, and I mean everywhere, because we're all in this together, and I will represent all 9.3 million New Jersey citizens.
Congresswoman, just very briefly, do you want to respond to that in 15 seconds, if you could?
I do. So that resolution was a resolution standing up for free speech and standing against political violence. And I do feel very strongly about that. I also feel very strongly that despite the fact that Charlie Kirk had a right to say a lot of things, I deeply disagreed with them. In fact, when I asked my opponent if he could disagree with Charlie Kirk saying Martin Luther King was a bad guy or that women should be subservient to their husbands, he could not. So I think it's my right to speak out as well against things that I disagree with.
Okay, thank you very much. We want to get to this next question. As we've all seen, there is no shortage of problems on New Jersey transit, no shortage at all. And in the past week, we have seen, and it was mentioned today, that the Trump administration stopped funding and thereby delaying construction of the uber-important Gateway to connect a third tunnel between New Jersey and New York City, a crucial tunnel. What's your response to that? We'll start with Mr. Chitterelli.
So the bad news is there's a shutdown right now. I hope that it ends any moment, if not tomorrow. The good news with regard to the Gateway project, which is critically important and a quintessential governmental infrastructure program, is that the Gateway Commission is what funds that project. And then the Gateway Commission seeks reimbursement from the federal government for their end of the deal.
You know, having thought about this now for like a minute or two, like, it's a very pragmatic vote. I'm not... like, Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist, racist piece of shit. And, like, as a politician, it puts her in a really hard place. I still think she should have had the conviction to stand up and just be like, I'm not voting to commemorate a racist. You know, like, that's a pretty, like, bare minimum kind of point. Which indicates that she's, to some extent, cowardly in her politics. That being said, I still think she's eons better than this guy.
Construction is not stopping. This shutdown would have to go on for 2 or 3 months before the Gateway project would grind to a halt. We have to fix New Jersey transit. And I'm proposing something you've seen in other states. Put all of our mass transit systems under one roof. The Garden State Transportation Authority. Atlantic City Expressway produces revenue with its tolls. Parkway and Turnpike produce revenue with its tolls. New Jersey Transit produces revenue with its fares. Put it all under one roof, one management structure, better accountability, better transparency. I'll fill in the blanks with the subsidy from state government, our state budget. That's the dedicated revenue stream to fix New Jersey Transit.
Congresswoman, your response.
So this is not tied to the shutdown. This is simply the president saying he's freezing the Gateway Tunnel funds, which he should not be able to do. And in my administration, I take him to court over it because those are congressionally appropriated funds for the Gateway Tunnel. I know this because I fought tooth and nail to get those funds in place. And so for my opponent to sort of brush off that these funds are frozen, these funds that, as I stated, can lead to about 100,000 jobs, that when we run out of money will cost us $1 million a day. We already have shovels in the ground. We are already moving forward on this. Our communities have gone through summer of hell after summer of hell after summer of hell. How do I know? because my husband Jason takes the tunnel, and he has had trouble getting home from work, had to call me to go pick up our kids somewhere, or because he was going to miss an event that we had. So again and again, this is impacting people's lives, it's impacting their ability to get to work, and that is why I will constantly make sure that we are addressing our transportation needs here in New Jersey and taking care of the New Jersey commuter.
You have 30 seconds, sir.
You'll hear generalities and platitudes. The specific question was regarding New Jersey Transit. Here's what we need to do. Every single train and bus line needs to be reevaluated for ridership. If there isn't adequate ridership on every one of those lines, we have a tough decision to make. I do think we should dedicate our limited resources to those lines that provide the greatest value to the greatest number of commuters. It's time for that kind of reevaluation, but we need a new management structure. This administration, which he has supported through and through, had 8 years to fix it. They failed.
If I may, because my opponent likes to put out misinformation, the specific question was about the Gateway Tunnel project, which you failed to answer.
I thought it was New Jersey Transit in part as well.
I brought that up just officially. I have my thing right here. We talked about it, but I said, Mr. Trump, stop the funding about this tunnel.
And I did answer that. Okay. The Gateway Commission gets reimbursed by the federal government for the continuation of that. You would need a shutdown for 2 or 3 months before the shovels stop working.
This doesn't have to do with the shutdown. This is the president freezing those funds inappropriately.
It's a negotiation that's...
Dude, little bro over here, just completely out of his depth. Doesn't even understand how the money works.
Taking place with the Congress.
With the people of New Jersey and their commuting at state.
There's a negotiation that's taking place with the Congress.
I think the two of you have stated your positions and you're not changing. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Ah, finally some good Fire Emblem music. Just a quick moment to say, if you're enjoying the stream or the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things that help the show. Drop the things. You know, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, and also consider monetarily supporting the show. Because you guys are the ones that make this show possible. There's no other backer for this program, just you guys. And I very, very, very much appreciate the support you all show me on a regular basis. So, show brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. With that, let's continue right along, shall we? What's the donut goal for? The Wheel of Pain. I'm just gonna group to this music for a minute because it's kind of fun. Why is this music going up for so long? Because it's a commercial break.
Welcome back. You ready for the second round? All right. We're going to just switch gears a little bit and give you kind of a quick talk. We're going to make it very quick, if like 15 seconds on each one.
Alan Shepard, the reason the boxes aren't unpacked yet is because we've been waiting on construction to finish on the room I'm going to be using for the studio. There's literally nowhere else to put these boxes.
30 seconds max would be great. And it would take a different turn than some of the other questions. You are each people who have several children each, 4 each, as I understand it, right? Okay.
Damn.
As a parent, we're both parents. Mm-hmm. Most of the people here are parents. What are the things that make you most afraid, given everything that's happening in this country right now? Congressman, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I have 3 teenagers and a 20-year-old. And so I'm incredibly concerned about the world we're leaving to them, about their ability to all move back to New Jersey. I'm really concerned about the mental health of children right now. It's why I'm going to pass the Kids Online Safety Act as governor. It's why I'm going to drive more mental health resources.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. COSA is a bad piece of legislation. Like, it's genuinely a horrible piece of legislation.
Into our kids' schools. Right now, you speak to parents, you speak to psychologists, and you hear again and again that we are facing a mental health crisis in our kids. And I want to make sure we address that. I'm also worried about our schools here in New Jersey. Third grade reading is not where it should be. And we know that's a key inflection point. That's how we know if people can move on to their social studies and history and math homework. So we're going to do phonics education. That's the best type of education to make sure kids are reading at appropriate grade level.
The mental health crisis, for sure. When I was a Somerset County freeholder, we created a community mental health center so people can have easy, convenient access to high quality care. I want to work with our 21 counties of government to do the exact same thing in all 21 counties. I, too, am very, very concerned about the public education system. We've got school districts where 80% of the kids are not on grade level for reading, writing, and math. Who has school choice? People with money. People with money can send their kids to private school. People without money do not have school choice. So if their school system is failing, I will provide them choice. My opponent will not. Voucher system like we've seen in Arizona, Ohio, and Florida. Charter schools, they've been very successful here.
For those of you who are like, Jazz Dog, you don't know anything about COSA. COSA, Kids Online Safety Act, is essentially a bill that would require websites to regulate themselves because of the wording and scope of the bills being so broad and general. You would effectively see a mass chilling of what platforms allow on, to be posted. Essentially, you would not be able to post a lot of things, and part of what would be censored is LGBTQ people. Like basically the idea being, anything, any website a kid could potentially see, and thus you need to make sure that any website is safe for the children. Like, that's essentially what it means. And for those of you who are like, well, maybe it's not that bad. The initial version of COSA, the Kids Online Safety Act, was written by the Heritage Foundation. So, the very same foundation behind Project 2025. Well, no, wait, sorry. It wasn't written by the Heritage Foundation, but rather the Heritage Foundation is in favor of the Kids Online Safety Act and has basically used it as a model for how it wants to censor LGBTQ content specifically. COSA itself doesn't have anti-LGBTQ provisions. The fear is that it could be, in an overly broad sense, interpreted to include LGBTQ content. But the Heritage Foundation basically is like, well, this is pretty good, but we wanted to explicitly ban LGBTQ people, specifically transgender people and healthcare. So, like, it's not good. It's not good. All right? And if you're like, well, okay, well, but they'd have to rewrite the provisions of COSA, the Heritage Foundation eventually fully supported COSA, basically saying that the overly broad generalizations could be used to target trans people.
New Jersey, but only one has been approved in 8 years' time. We need to provide educational choice where districts are failing, and we need to employ a high-impact curriculum like we've seen in places like Louisiana and Mississippi. A high-impact curriculum, if your child is behind grade level in reading, writing, math, they'll spend the entire next marking period doing nothing other than reading, writing, and math.
Okay. Thank you very much, both of you.
We're going to continue on, and we're going to go to Congresswoman Cheryl. We've seen the president move to deploy the National Guard in
I don't know how I feel about her now. How I feel about her is that she is a pretty, uncourageous Democrat, but we need her to win. That's how I feel about her.
other states. If the president were to order the National Guard into a New
Our options are either someone who's going to deep throat Donald Trump's cock on a daily basis, or someone who is going to put up some semblance of resistance.
Jersey City, how would you evaluate the move, and are there circumstances under which you would support it?
You know, unless there is an insurrection or some sort of crisis where the National Guard could come in and the president invokes the Insurrection Act, he's moving these National Guard troops across the country illegally, against the Insurrection Act, against Posse Comitatus. And I can tell you this because I've both worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office with law enforcement to keep people safe, and I've also worked in the military. And those are two very different jobs. And military members should not be on our streets. It makes people less safe. It makes people feel less safe. So I have to say, when you look at this across the country, and when you look at the threats, and then you see the president saying when he was with Hegseth recently that he's going to use our U.S. cities as training grounds for our military, that is unacceptable. I will not stand for that as governor.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Tam, I've told the president and the people of New Jersey they'll never have to worry about New Jersey because as governor, we'll have safe communities, and here's why. I appoint the Attorney General. I appoint the 21 county prosecutors. I appoint the superintendent of the state police, and we're going to be a law and order state again. We do that by not having sanctuary cities, and we do that by reforming bail reform. Cashless bail has created a professional criminal in New Jersey who's learned how to game the system. Talk to your local police about arrest, release, repeal. My opponent has not said a word about getting rid of sanctuary cities, the Immigrant Trust Directive. She's not said a word about reforming bail reform. Yet cops will tell you all the time that this is one of the things getting in the way of keeping our communities safe. So again, the president won't have to worry about these things in New Jersey. My Attorney General, the head law enforcement officer,
Dad Urker, thank you for gifting a membership. Very much appreciated. Folks, we are 8 subs away from our goal. Very much appreciated.
21 county prosecutors that report to that Attorney General, and it's all the police chiefs that report to those county prosecutors. We will be a law and order state again, and there will be a consequence for unruly, unlawful behavior.
Unlike now, where anyone can do crimes in New Jersey and get away with it. Apparently. Hashtag don't do crimes in New Jersey.
30 seconds.
You know, I'm the only one who's actually worked closely with law enforcement, prosecuting cases to keep dangerous people off the streets. I'm very proud of my record there. And I continue to push forward in that work. So I've worked with all of the police chiefs in my district on our auto thefts to make sure we had license plate readers, federally funded, so we could drive down the rash of auto theft. So again and again and again, I've worked on public safety, but he misunderstands what's going on in this country if he thinks these National Guard troops are being positioned in the most dangerous cities. They're not.
Mr. Chitterelli.
May I?
30 seconds.
What I'm worried about is what I can control. What I can control is public safety in New Jersey. She worked for the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Man, what a weak person. Like, what I'm worried about is what I can control. And, like, what I can control is, you know, clamping down on all of you so that the Trump administration doesn't have to. And it's like, okay, but the Trump administration is sending troops to, like, you know, Memphis, Tennessee. Like, what are you talking about? Like, even if you are the biggest, like, deep throater of boot in history, like, the Trump administration's probably still going to be sending troops to one of your blue cities soon. Like, what are you going to do then? Other than lick more boots. He has no plan or solution. He has not a single ounce of fight in him.
As a community organizer. Then she worked for the New Jersey attorney, U.S. attorney, for 11 months and pled most of her cases. Pleading cases with people who were let go for a number of different things, some of them very heinous crimes. So I doubt very much whether this is somebody who can stand here and say that she's tough on crime.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I am not afraid.
Salmon Moose, thank you for the 10 gifted tier 1 subs. Thank you very, very much. And we have now reached our goal. We will have to do that goal tomorrow because it's currently almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I have the juice to finish this exactly, and then I have to go to bed for, by the time we finish this, like 3 hours and get up and do life. But tomorrow we will spin the wheel! Woo! We will spin the wheel Well, actually, let's spin the wheel right now. Let's spin the wheel right now. All right? Spin the wheel. All right. Here we go. Wheel spin, wheel spin. The wheel is spinning now. We've got a Metatron segment. Oh boy, that's exciting. That is very exciting. We got some good stuff coming on that front. It's gonna be, it's gonna be good. You guys are gonna be eating good from the content, side of the spectrum. So thank you very, very much. And folks, just a reminder, if someone donates 10 subs, it will continue to go to this counter for another wheel spin, and you can get one respin of the wheel. So, that being said, let's continue on with this this debate. Here we go.
But the fact that she voted
Quigley's eating
to get rid
good
of
tonight.
qualified immunity for local police, which is the bedrock of their protection, and the fact that she's did this dance with Mandami, she's not about public safety.
Would you like 30 seconds to
Yeah,
respond?
so, my
See him,
opponent
Amber
denigrates
Brains?
public service at every
Stay
turn.
safe.
He said law enforcement shouldn't get the pay they get because there's a lot more dangerous jobs out there where people make less. He's voted against our pension system in the past. Again and again, he puts down people who serve the public. I'm proud of my service at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm proud of my service in the U.S. military, and I'm proud of people who serve. And as governor, I'm going to make sure I have their backs.
Mr. Chitterelli, you get the next question. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the national unemployment rate is a little bit over 4%, but in New Jersey, it's around 5%. Adding to the uncertainty around hiring are concerns about tariffs, inflation, and AI. How will you get around this environment to bring jobs to New Jersey?
Tam, we have always lagged the national average when it comes to unemployment because we're always ranked 48th, 49th, or 50th in the country as one of the worst places in the country to do business. The current administration is trying to tax its way out of fiscal calamity in Trenton. I'm going to responsibly reduce the size and cost of state government to afford a tax cut for individuals and our businesses. But make no mistake, you can't cut your way out. We've got to grow the economy. And I'm going to grow the economy by making New Jersey a better place to do business. That means lowering the highest business tax in the nation, lessening regulations without screwing the consumer, residents, or doing irreparable harm to the environment, making sure there's an ample labor pool because of a dynamic relationship in my government between the Department of Labor, Department of Education, and getting electricity rates down. If the president is successful, and I hope that he is, in bringing manufacturing back, as one example of blue-collar, middle-class jobs, they're not coming to New Jersey as long as we have the highest property taxes in the nation, the highest electricity rates. I'll make New Jersey a better place to do business, grow the economy, create jobs, and get that unemployment number down.
Congress.
I'm sorry, but if you're looking at moving to a state because you need a job, I don't know that people are looking at yes, the property taxes and the unemployment, or not the property taxes and the electrical bills. I don't think people look at that when they're taking a new job into consideration, because most working class people don't own their home. They rent, so they're not paying the property taxes.
First woman.
My opponent likes to talk a lot about being a businessman, but I think what New Jersey doesn't know is much about his business, how he made his millions by working with some of the worst offenders and saying that opioids were safe, putting out propaganda, publishing their propaganda, while tens of thousands of New Jerseyans died. And as if that wasn't enough, then he was paid to develop an app so that people who were addicted could more easily get access to opioids.
Holy shit. Just fucking throwing him under the bus repeatedly. God damn. Yeah, my opponent personally responsible for the opioid epidemic that killed your family. Let's go. Got him.
And so as he made millions, as these opioid companies made billions, tens of thousands of New Jerseyans died.
Mr. Chitterelli.
First of all, shame on you. Second of all,
Shame on you, sir.
Shame on you.
Shame on you, sir. Same on you, I say.
During the Biden administration, she had no problem whatsoever with tens of thousands of people crashing our border each and every day, not knowing what impact they had in our communities with regard to fentanyl crisis.
Hey, dog, your moral high ground is still not there. You still actually have the moral low ground. Because you personally were selling the drugs. Your job was to facilitate the distribution of the drugs that were killing people. That was your job, and you got insanely wealthy off of it. And you're like, well, she let immigrants in, and those immigrants may have sold drugs at some point. It's like, that's not remotely the same argument.
Fentanyl abuse, fentanyl distribution, vaccination rates and the like. Talk to your local police, talk to your county prosecutors in New Jersey. Since the border's been secured, fentanyl crisis.
What? Why did he throw in vaccination rates? What?
Not knowing what impact they had in our communities with regard to fentanyl crisis, fentanyl abuse, fentanyl distribution, vaccination rates and the like. Talk.
Dog is rattled. Why the hell would you mention vaccination rates in the middle of that? That makes no sense.
To your local police.
Yeah, hey, everything that bad. Republicans, you don't like vaccinations, right? Well, look, you may have lost a family member to opioids, but have you considered that my opponent supports the vaccination that made your kid autistic? Which is worse?
Talk to your county prosecutors in New Jersey. Since the border's been secured, fentanyl crisis has decreased significantly. She supported those open border policies. But with regard to everything she just said about my professional career, which provided my family, it's a lie. I'm proud of my career.
You get 30 seconds.
Which provided for my family. Well, I'm glad selling the opioid epidemic to Americans provided for your family.
Happy to publish the information. And here are
I'm
the
sure you
facts. I work because I think our kids deserve better. I think the people you got addicted and died deserve better than you.
Addicted
and I'll
and died.
tell you, yeah, tens of thousands here as you published misinformation, as you got more people addicted, as you worked to got paid to develop an app so that more people could get more opioids and die.
I got to
Here's
walk
the
at my
fact.
college graduation.
You killed tens of thousands of people in this state, sir. I walked at my college graduation. This is not the comeback you think it is, dog. She's accusing you of essentially facilitating mass slaughter of your countrymen, and you're like, well, I walked at my graduation. Like, damn.
I got to walk at my college graduation.
And I'm so glad that you then went on to kill tens of thousands of people in New Jersey, including children,
And I never broke the
as
law.
they got.
I
You
never
just
broke the
broke the law. In fact, you're.
Fuck. God, yes. What? Oh my, yeah, he's not even disputing her characterizing his career. He's just mad. He's just fucking mad about it. Oh my god. And she just straight up accused him, you killed tens of thousands of people in this state. Look at her smile. She knows she's winning here. Cause like, he's like, you broke the law. And she's like, your campaign broke the law, bro. Like, you actively hold information that the law was broken to obtain.
Campaign right now is under federal investigation for how you illegally got access to my records. So to say that right now, and I think you're trying to divert from the fact that you killed tens of thousands of people by printing your misinformation, your propaganda, and then getting paid to develop an app so that people could more easily get the opioids once they were addicted. Families across the state deserve to know more about that.
Mr. Tutorelli, you get 15 seconds.
The difference between me and the Congresswoman, I got to walk at my college graduation. I've never broken the law. She had to pay federal fines for breaking federal.
Look, it was fine for me to kill you know, your family members in New Jersey because it was legal for me to kill them and make a profit at the same time. You don't understand. There's a big difference there. Like, dude, he's not even denying it. That's crazy. I have never seen anything like that. I have never seen anything like this.
Law on stock trades and stock reporting, and the New York Times reports was trading defense stocks
No,
while
you're
sitting
the
on the House
puppet.
Armed Services Committee.
No, puppet, you're the puppet.
I think you get 15 seconds now.
This is the same old misinformation that he continued.
Oh my God.
Let's be fair, it's New Jersey. Everyone comes here to die anyway.
You get a New Jersey and then you're buried in that jersey.
To promote, because he knows that I don't trade in individual stocks. He knows I've gone above and beyond that. He also knows he promotes some garbage number, but he actually knows so much about my finances because they're all to the dollar. But here's the other thing. What he never learned, despite walking at his graduation, was accountability, integrity, care for the community. And I think that disqualifies him.
Tam,
thank you both.
She released 2 years of tax returns the years after she paid the federal fines. I've released
You
12
released
years
yours
going
a
back
minute
every
before the
single
last
year.
debate because you knew I was going to call you on it.
Let's move on to some of the interesting.
Getting desperate.
Some of the issues that the people in New Jersey are thinking about, and we're going to switch it pretty drastically here. Both of you have been critical about the high cost of electricity in New Jersey. I would like you to tell us specifically, and all the viewers watching, how you would lower prices and perhaps bring in sources of alternative energy, which I think, based on my business days, business school days, we could increase supply and lower prices that way. Ms. Cheryl, please start it off.
Sure. So, you know, we have an alphabet soup of agencies in this state who have kicked the can down the road and then dumped the extra cost on the ratepayer, which is why on day one of my administration, I'm going to declare a state of emergency on utility costs and freeze rate hikes. I know my opponent laughs at it and doesn't actually want to address the utility crisis or the families that are suffering, but on my watch, I am stopping this. This is not acceptable. I'm going to drive in an energy arsenal of power as we drive costs down over time, making sure we build out our solar, our battery storage, improve our gas generation in the state, and then develop nuclear power. We need to make sure we produce.
Arsenal of power is such a good turn of phrase. It should be used more often.
Here, because let's face it, the PJM market, which he's called some small nonprofit, while numerous bipartisan governors across our region are demanding better, our market is screwed up and it's driving up costs here. So if we produce it here at home, we can drive down those energy costs.
Okay, sir.
77 incumbent Democratic legislators, many of which have been in the legislature for a long time, 52 of which are on the ballot this year. Not a single one has endorsed her plan. Not a single one has embraced it. Governor of her own party went on TV and said, I don't think you can do that. It's an illegit plan and it's not feasible. Let's talk about, since we have
What mic am I using? An SM7B.
seconds here, how we got to this point. Phil Murphy shut down 6 different electricity generation plants, put a moratorium on natural gas-fired electricity generation, didn't expand nuclear in South Jersey, and didn't accelerate solar on the rooftops of all the warehouses that have gone up, which is prime real estate for solar arrays. The DEP slows down the permitting process every single time. Here's what I'll do as governor. We've already talked about pulling out of RGGI. Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative has been a failed policy. Electricity is more expensive, air's no cleaner. We can save $300 to $500 million a year. That's real. I will reopen and repurpose the plants that were shut down. I will lift the moratorium on natural gas-fired electricity generation. I'll expand nuclear in South Jersey and accelerate solar on the rooftops of warehouses.
So political.
Man, I love that the fact the planet is dying and Republicans are still like, let's open up our dirtiest factories to produce electricity. You know, let's just belch more coal into the atmosphere. Why not? fuck it, we're all gonna die anyway. Might as well heat the earth up a little bit.
Just recently called him out for his misinformation, saying it was on his watch that many of these things were shut down, including a nuclear power plant. And so I will tell you, if you want the same old, if you want the failed policies of old, you can vote for Jack Ciattarelli. But if you really want to see your energy costs go down, if you want to see innovation, if you want to see new ideas against the status quo, then I ask for you to vote for me.
Mr. Ciattarelli, next question. Do you support enshrining the right to an abortion in the state constitution as your opponent does?
I've always supported a woman's right to choose, and I said yes to that question back in 2021. What I don't support is celebrating abortion the way the current administration does. What I don't support is making New Jersey the abortion capital of the country, inviting other people from other states to come.
Yeah, we should force women to give birth. That's the American way, the land of freedom, where you're free to be forced to give birth.
To New Jersey and have their abortions performed. I don't support that, let alone use taxpayer dollars to do that. I also support something that
They do call him a motherfucker because he fucks over people who are forced to be mothers.
Opponent does not. Parental notification. In the state of New Jersey, you can't get your ears pierced under the age of 18 without the permission of your parents. But we're not going to notify parents when a 16 or 17-year-old is having an abortion performed?
Yeah, because if a 16 or 17-year-old doesn't want to tell their parents that they're getting an abortion, it's because their parents are going to, like, stop them or are the reason they are pregnant in the first place.
I think that's terribly wrong. I've yet to find the most liberal, maybe with one exception, of women across the state who support that policy. So that's where my position has always been on abortion. I've supported a woman's right to choose.
Congresswoman.
So again, he's peddling misinformation. You know, I don't think he knows what's going on.
Only the people in our state have the right to choose, though. If people are coming into our state to choose, they should be forced to go back.
In this state, or he's willfully ignoring it, or in this country. You know, we're hearing stories across the country about horrible outcomes, like Portia, a woman in Texas, who went to the emergency room as she was miscarrying, 2 young children at home. As she was miscarrying, they gave her multiple transfusions, but because of abortion bans, like the one my opponent's proposing, the doctors were afraid to give her a DNC or an abortion to save her life. So she died in an emergency room, purely preventable, could have been taken care of. But when you put in place things like my opponent has suggested, people die. We also have the fact that when he was...
You know, I support her bringing this up, but also if you're going to mention that your opponent wants people dead, maybe mention, but maybe my opponent is okay with lots of people in this state dying as a result of his policies, considering his past.
Last in office, he voted to defund Planned Parenthood. So these are not pro-choice positions. I know he's getting up here to tell everyone what they want to hear right now as he desperately tries for the 3rd time to become the next governor of New Jersey, but this is not credible. Abortion bans, defunding Planned Parenthood, those are not a pro-choice position.
Mr. Ciattarelli.
We're not Texas. Any woman whose pregnancy is in trouble, whose health is at stake, they will be able to have their abortion performed safely by competent clinicians to protect the woman's health. We are not Texas.
If their life is at stake, which is a very nebulous call to make, deliberately, because any of those exceptions aren't real exceptions.
With regard to Planned Parenthood, the question I've always asked the Democrats in the Trenton is, why is it they get 100% of the money? Why is it we don't send any of the money to pregnancy resource centers like Lighthouse?
Because pregnancy resource centers are there to bamboozle people into not having abortions. They're there to waste your time while providing no additional medical care. Planned Parenthood actually does a lot more than just provide abortions.
In Bergen County, for example. I don't think that's fair. Let's distribute the money equitably.
And it's time now to go to another question from our media partner, Univision. This one will go to Congresswoman Cheryl. And here again, once again, is Anna Patricia Candiani.
Congresswoman Cheryl, New Jersey's all water pipes are failing, causing frequent water main breaks and sinkholes in our communities. Fixing the issue is estimated to cost $24 billion over 20 years. Can you commit to fix this problem, and how would you fund it?
Yeah, so we have had water main problems throughout New Jersey, and I've worked to drive funding into it. We need a combination of federal and state funding to address these breaks. While I've been in Congress, I addressed the lead pipe remediation in Nutley and Belleville, making sure that we had safer pipes. And we've seen we have some of the oldest water infrastructure in the nation, which is why it's critical we replace it, but very expensive, which is why working with the delegation, our federal delegation, to drive in federal resources to this is going to be the best way to remediate the problem, but also continue to drive down costs for New Jersey families.
Mr. Chitterelli.
I'd like to get back to the three pillars of all state governments in all 50 states. It was always about public safety and education, public safety, if you will, public health and safety rather, public education and infrastructure. And here in the state of New Jersey, our infrastructure is in demand. We saw it recently with a major pipe break in Patterson with a 100-year-old pipe. I was there, the current governor wasn't, my opponent wasn't, but I was there to talk to the businesses and residents who were without fresh water for 2 or 3 weeks. This also represents a magnificent jobs program in terms of improving our infrastructure all around the state. And so this is the kind of thing that gets me very excited about being governor. Not only improving a critical infrastructure program, but creating jobs along the way. We have to do it. We have pipes that are now 100 years old. In some cities, we have pipes that are delivered, they're wooden pipes that are delivering the water. I also have conversations with those municipalities that have their own water utility. I think it's time for them to have a serious conversation with selling that to the water companies who have the capitalization.
Yeah, have you considered privatizing your water? What if you made it your water resource a way for a company to effectively choke out your town until you agree to higher price hikes on water, you know, that thing you need to live? What if we privatize that, huh? This man actually is like a comedic cartoon villain. Or at least he would be comedic if he was, you know, fictional. In the real world, he's a horror show.
To improve the infrastructure.
Congresswoman Cheryl.
So again, I think infrastructure is such a key thing. And that's why I've fought for it since the minute I've been.
Yeah, someone called Jim Water. Get him out here. He's got a big business opportunity.
Congress. Water infrastructure, our rail infrastructure, making sure we have better buses across the state. And at every turn, my opponent's turning a blind eye when we see cuts to this infrastructure from the federal government. So the recent freezing of the Gateway Tunnel funds by Donald Trump that my opponent said wasn't a New Jersey problem is just the latest example.
Okay. We're going to move on to another subject. We're going to talk about schooling. We're going to start with Mr. Chitterelli. We all know that all of our futures depend, all of them, on the education that young people are getting. How do we level the playing field and fix schools in New Jersey, especially those in lower performing districts, so all kids who are the future of all of us, get a top-notch education?
So, Bill, in the post-pandemic world here in New Jersey, we have not compensated for all the learning loss that took place because the governor shut down the schools for 2 years. Think about this for a second. He opened up the nursing homes, where we led the nation in nursing home deaths, but closed the schools for 2 years. And we haven't compensated for all that learning loss. Here's what I've said all along. We've slipped from 2 to 12 on the national report card. You're never going to hear me say something my opponent likes to say often. We've got the best school system in the country. We do not. You take out the top 10% performers, which skew the results, it's a whole different story. 50% of the incoming freshmen at every one of our 19 community colleges, are taking remedial courses that don't even qualify for college credit. We need to do what Mississippi and Louisiana did. High impact curriculum. If your child is behind grade level, that's all we're going to focus on, the critical life skills until they are. But I'm also going to provide school choice. My opponent will not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. Remember what I said earlier in this debate? How he was basically saying, when he said, we're going to tweak the formula for property taxes, what he means is there is no formula. What he means is they're just going to cut property taxes and cut, by extension, school funding, and then dangle the idea of like voucher programs in front of parents in order to get them to buy into the illusion that they can send their kids to fancy private schools. when in reality, those schools are going to be completely out of their kids' reach. And they are going to be left in poverty, in subpar schools, and they are going to fall further behind. That is what this kind of Trojan horsing of privatization of education does.
She's owned by the teachers union, who does not want school choice. No vouchers, no charter schools. I will provide educational choice.
Congresswoman?
You know, I think it's interesting how he keeps citing places like Louisiana and Mississippi. I think some of the worst schools in the entire nation. If that's where he wants to drive us to, I think voters better be aware of that. Because I'm going to make sure that we are driving in better results for our kids. And so one of the few things my opponent and I seem to agree on is learning loss is a huge issue. The difference is, as he's been a perennial gubernatorial candidate, I've been actually working to address that. It's why I put in place high-intensity tutoring, a federal bill. I've worked with the state legislators so we could do it at the state level as well. Make sure we're addressing learning loss. Ensuring we are addressing third grade reading. As governor, I'm going to make sure we're teaching phonics to our teachers. That is the best way to help students learn reading, and I've discussed how important that is. Driving in better mental health resources to our students. And
well, you know, I disagree that phonics perhaps is the best way to teach reading, because I think you generally want to focus on reading comprehension. Like, you want people to be able to look at words and understand what they mean, rather than look at words and be able to repeat said words out of their mouths. Phonics is useful in that respect, but the more important aspect is being able to understand it. But that's, you know, my 2 cents on that. That's my 2 cents on the reading wars, which you all should look up if you're interested.
Passing the Kids Online Safety Act, which is going to help all of our students have a better experience, better mental health, and better outcomes.
Sure.
I'm going to repeat something I said earlier in the evening, because I think it's one of the things that differentiates the two of us very, very much, but also reveals one of the hypocrisies of the Democratic Party that wants to portray itself as the party of the marginalized, disadvantaged, and minorities. Who has school choice? People with money. They can pull their children out because they have the wherewithal to send them to private school. Who doesn't have school choice, particularly in failing school districts? People without the money. I'll provide them choice with vouchers and charter schools. My opponent will not.
We're running out of some time, but we're going to make up for it right now. We're going to move to 30-second response to this. Mr. Cheddarelli, we'll start with you. When he was elected president last year, Donald Trump gave a speech saying he would ensure freedom of speech to Americans. Forward to 9 months later, many Americans, many of whom live.
Learning phonics really helped me learn a second language. Maybe it would be useful for people learning English as a second language. I think, again, learning phonics isn't bad in and of itself, but when we're talking about, like, reading in children, like, you want to be able to make sure that they understand what they're reading. I think that is where the priority needs to be. Whereas expression of those ideas and, like, reading the words on the page takes, in my mind, a secondary position. But that doesn't mean that phonics aren't useful, or that phonics can't be useful, for example, in teaching, like, a second language. You know, I'm not saying never phonics, but I am saying, like, I think the emphasis always should be on reading comprehension, because like, if you are reading a book, you're not reading that book out loud. You're reading the ideas in the book. There's an experience happening between you and the reading material. And that experience, you know, is, I think, the more important thing to facilitate. Does that make sense? Whereas I think especially if you're learning, like, English as a second language, then the phonics become, I think, more important, because you already, like, have some degree of, you know, literacy. And so learning that second language is how to communicate with other people functionally first, and then read ideas second. Does that make sense? I might not be putting this well, but
live in New Jersey are questioning whether freedom of speech is now shrinking in this country, or even getting taken away. What would you say to those people who worry about this?
Number one, I can't control what other people say. Number two, I won't be afraid to step up from the people in New Jersey every day of the week if something is taking place that disadvantages them in any way, including their constitutional rights, and there will be free speech here in the state of New Jersey. I appoint the Attorney General, I appoint the county prosecutors, I appoint the Superior Court judges. We'll have a law enforcement community and a judiciary that respects people's constitutional rights.
Yeah, but you don't appoint any of the federal officers that might be at work in your state, do you, buddy?
Day of the week.
Congresswoman.
So I've taken numerous oaths to the Constitution my whole life and fought for those values enshrined in it. I will always protect free speech in this state. I do worry that there are rollbacks going on, and I actually worry very much about something my opponent just said, that he'll appoint the Supreme Court judges. I think there's 2 upcoming judges, and my opponent has said he's going to remake our New Jersey court like Trump remade the Supreme Court.
That's a lie.
I think everyone who's worried about free speech should be very worried about my opponent being in office to appoint judges.
15 seconds.
I've never said that. What I've said is that I will appoint Supreme Court justices that agree with me on issues like high-density housing in suburban districts where there's no infrastructure, and who agree with me on school funding. I've never said what she just said I said. It's another lie.
All right, we're going to take a little turn.
Jesus Christ, this guy's really bad at politics. No wonder he's running for a third attempt at the governorship.
Almost to your closings, 15 seconds on each of these, a little bit more fun. And this one will be interesting. We'll start with you, Congresswoman Sherrill. What is something you appreciate about your opponent?
So I really appreciate that his son is serving.
Mr. Chitterelli.
I appreciate her military service.
Anything else?
Yes, anything else? Okay, we'll move on. Congresswoman Sherrill, what is your favorite place in New Jersey?
Montclair. It's where my home is. It's where I've raised my kids.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Raritan, New Jersey, Somerset County, where my grandparents immigrated 100 years ago.
What is something about you, Ms. Sherrill, that most voters do not know?
Oh, let's see. I think my favorite things, and I've learned this over time, is going to my kids' sports games. I used to dread it, but now I really do enjoy that.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Getting up Sunday morning and making the gravy. And I want to be transparent, Tam. It's gravy, not sauce. It's macaroni, not pasta. But the meatballs, the brajals, and the sausage will be in the pot, and we'll have a Sunday dinner together.
And finally, do you support, Congresswoman Sherrill, a lot of pump your own gas?
No, I really enjoy, I've come into New Jersey on fumes from Delaware, especially when my kids were little and in the rain. So I think a lot of people really love our state laws as they are.
Mr. Chitterelli.
We have too many dubious distinctions, Tam, and I'll fix great many of those. But one of our special differences here in New Jersey, we don't have to pump our own gas. Jersey girls don't like to pump their own gas. We'll continue to have full service.
What is the thing that you think you'd like to have to be the top brass in this state? What do you want to do the first day you're in office that no one's thinking about? Start with you.
I want to join the court case against the tariffs that the president's implementing right now. That's one of the #1 things I hear about as I speak to thousands of New Jerseyans, is how these tariff costs are raising everything from a cup of coffee to the groceries they buy to make dinner at night.
Sir?
Lower your energy costs on day one with Executive Order number 3. We're pulling out of RGGI. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy that has failed New Jersey.
I want the planet to die so that my daughters can make more money.
Both of you, thank you for those answers and what's happened in the last 55 minutes. We now have reached the end of our debate time, and it's time for each candidate's closing statements. The candidates will each have 1 minute for their closing statements, and we're going to begin with Congresswoman Sherrill.
Thank you. Shipmate self. It's a saying in the Navy. It means the mission comes first. It means the sailors come second, and as a leader, you come last. That's the kind of governor I'll be. And you know, the ship is New Jersey. Our mission to drive down costs for families. And I will be a leader who serves everyone, no matter who you are, where you live, or who you voted for. And as I've gone around the state, spoken to thousands of our neighbors, I've heard again and again, we want a great state where we can raise our families. We want our kids to have a shot. We want to make sure we're safe and healthy. And so that's the kind of governor I'm going to be. Those are the things I'm going to work on. And I have to tell you, I know too many people think it's too hard right now. But I believe, despite the chaos, despite the challenges, We can be better. We can do better. And so if you vote for me as your governor, I would be incredibly honored, and I will work every single day to be worthy of that mission.
Mr. Chitterelli.
I just want to say, like, for my closing thoughts on her, like, I'm a socialist, right? Like, obviously, as like someone pretty far left, she's not my ideal candidate. I think she's been able to throw some really good punches. She's clearly got some political chops. But like, she was always going to fall short of my ideal from a politician. You know, she was never going to be Bernie Sanders or Zoran Mamdani, right? She wasn't even going to be like an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? Like, she wasn't going to be that. But for a relatively middle-of-the-road Democrat, she got some great punches in on this, and really at least established some basic bare minimum actions that she was going to do to oppose the Trump administration. And I think that that's really important right now as we move towards kind of the crescendo of this authoritarian power play that Donald Trump and his administration are doing, right? And like, her opponent is clearly a ghoul, like just a boot licking toady of the highest order, and he must be defeated. And I think that, like, if we're to play ideals, that's a time for the primary, you know? Like, primaries are the time when you get to act out and really put forward and fight for your, you know, ideal politicians or political candidates. And unfortunately, in this general election in New Jersey, there are two options, and Mikey is the clearly better option, despite the fact that I disagree with her pretty vehemently on a number of issues. But that being said, just nothing will really get me. Nothing will really ever get me to forget the moment where she looks at him directly and says, "You killed tens of thousands of people," and he doesn't deny it. That was insane. That was just absolutely insane. Yeah, and depraved ambiance, I think that's a really important distinction, right? Like, she will at least listen to constituents, and there is the possibility of shifting her and moving her on different issues. This other guy very clearly has been paid millions of dollars specifically to ignore you.
My opponent has based her entire campaign on a stack of lies about me, her disdain for the president, and that's not going to fix New Jersey. What we need are solutions here in New Jersey. Her party has controlled the legislature for 25 years. They've had the executive branch for the last 8 years. Can anybody honestly say that things are better off today than back whenever? If you want change, you have to make a change. If my opponent is elected, nothing will change. It'll be more of the same, only worse.
I love that basically all of his proposed changes are either nebulous beyond measure and just like completely amorphous, or like are, I'm going to make things better by insert specific activity that is guaranteed to make life worse for people in New Jersey.
Chitterellis have been here for 100 years. 3 generations of Chitterellis have all achieved their American dream right here in New Jersey. And so when I'm asked why am I running for governor, it's very simple. I want today's New Jerseyans and future generations of New Jerseyans to feel confident they can achieve their American dream here in New Jersey. We have an affordability crisis, a public education crisis, a public safety crisis, and an overdevelopment crisis in the state. And tonight, I put forth a plan. Very specific ideas, solutions, and policy proposals on how to fix New Jersey. I hope to have your vote.
You have both made your cases, and we thank you. We thank you. We thank you for letting us do this part of it. And you made your points, and we appreciate that, both of you.
Thank you both.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that brings us with this, the end of our debate. We want to thank the candidates for taking part, indeed, and we wish them good luck.
All right, we made it through. We made it through. I'm not hearing one plan. That's because these people never have a plan. You know, it's just like how John Thune was talking about how they're going to make healthcare better and cheaper. And the method by which they're going to make healthcare better and cheaper is never addressed or mentioned ever. They've had, Republicans have had 10 years to work on a plan like that, and they have exactly jack shit, you know, like just nothing whatsoever. With that being said, folks, if you have enjoyed this debate, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things, and consider supporting the stream because this show is brought to you by viewers like you. I could not make it happen without you fine folks. And hello, Tipster. That being said, segment done. And folks, remember, tomorrow we will be talking about the Virginia debate, because some equally wacky shit happened over in that debate. We'll be taking a look at that tomorrow. And also, we'll be like checking in on our wheel segment. There's going to be a lot of good things happening tomorrow. Make sure to check it out. I might go live during the daytime, but I'm getting so little sleep tonight that I might sleep instead during the day. We'll see. I will have to take a break to pick up my partner and get some food if I do stream during the day. So we'll see. We'll see what we got time for. And folks, remember, if you're enjoying the show, consider dropping those subs and donos. Okay, we are 4 subs towards our next goal, our next spin of the wheel. And remember, we got a Metatron segment coming up, and that will all be happening. Woof! Tipster, I hope you're doing well. It's rough, Jack. Hope you get enough sleep. I've been very low on sleep this entire week. Oh, wooga, forlorn. Oh, wooga. You drew a protest frog and posted it in the Discord? Can't wait to see it. Love that shit. The protest frogs are, I think, here to stay. I think people are going to continue to protest. And make this shit incredible. There we go. Oh, he's adorable. Iguana. Adorable. If you'd be all right with it, we could make that into an emote. I love him. I love our little protest frog. Folks, look at this guy. Look at him. The background is not there, but the sign is square and white. I promise you. Look at him. I love him. What a good little guy. Thank you for sharing, Iguana. Teehee. Teehee. The people's frog, indeed. Oh. All right, folks. I am gonna go collapse. Good night. See you all tomorrow. And take care of yourself, folks. Good night. Good night. Good night. Wait a minute. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs! Right as I'm about to go off screen. Timing, impeccable. Thank you very much for the 2 tier 1 subs. I'm amazed they haven't hybridized the protest with drag with no kings, yes queen. Honestly, that is a 10 out of 10 idea, Sake Tanuki. Be the drag, the drag performer you wish to see in the world. Can both tier 1 subs be thrown at ice? All tier 1 subs can be thrown at ice. Alright. See you all tomorrow, you silly little beans.
Put it there, boy, and we'll show these fascists what a couple of hillbillies can do. Well, I'm gonna tell you, fascists, you may be surprised. People in this world are getting organized. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose.
All you fascists bound to lose.
I said,
All you fascists bound to lose.
yes,
All you fascists bound to lose. Bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
there's people of every nation marching side by
Side, march across the fields. We're a million fascists now. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
all you fascists
Bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. Bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.